selector, rewind selector, rewind selector. Rewind selector, rewind selector, rewind selector.
Surely should be able to land a shot. No, it goes into the gun. Geordie is going to take a single shot. It's up to Whitman just to stay alive at the moment. Geordie should be able to get this kill eventually. Oh, no, another bad shot. Rerendi, what is he doing at the moment? He's just built different at this stage. A lot of HP. Yeah, a lot of HP going in the favor of Rerendi at the moment. Geordie, another one. We've got 10 seconds left on the cap. The 50Bs now need to force their way on.
Man, Iron Guard.
Wymo needs to.
Or Wymo. I think it's going to have to be Wymo here. He seems like the guy that's in position. Doesn't manage to pen that shot. It's down to Iron Guard. Oh no! Sentinels, don't let it happen again. Oh, dearie me.
This has to be an Ignite shot coming out or something like that. Dongalord doesn't need to pen any of these shots at this stage. Xander's put one into the ground. Wymo's trying to come across, trying to make the difference. 1 second left. All Dongalord needs to do is back out. The kill does come out, but does it come after time?
JS has got his number surely now. Goober actually does get the proxy spot across, and he has decided to get the heck out, but a shot does sneak through from the 50B, and JS now one shot away from getting rid of Goober. What a tracking shot. Oh my word.
The attackers do have control of the hill, for example. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
That is just not supposed to happen.
An E100 gets the Ignite at that distance, and there is no chance, but Rainbow just burns to death.
Cat's already there.
My
and
gosh.
Dongalord gets absolutely boomed. What a start. JT, this time not in mid, but he's found the line anyway.
That is a disgusting angle from a TVP. I need to look at the replay because I'm taking that. Like, that is actually disgusting.
Well, we will see. It might actually work. If that 4005 can blow up Rainbow in one shot. Oh, there we go. It's happened. It's actually happened.
Burst. He's dead.
Where does the shot come from? Cindy might have the angle here. JT, what's the gun depression looking like? Neither wants to take the initial peek. Neither wants to make the mistake. And there is the Siren. There's not a whole lot of time left for JT. He's eventually going to have to send it here, but he's the one that's being more mobile. He's the one that's trying to look for this engagement. Cindy hits the shot.
Hello and welcome. It is finally time. This is the World of Tanks ANZ Premier League Season 2 Grand Final. We are live from Fortress Melbourne, and gentlemen, it's crazy to be here. I'm so happy that we finally managed to get everyone on land. Jordan, you psyched?
I am psyched. It's been a while since I have been
able to venture out of Sydney, make my way to Melbourne, make my way anywhere, and certainly not be on a LAN stage ready to cast some World of Tanks or even any game. So this is a fantastic time. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm quite excited. I'm quite pumped. It's great to be back on live event sort of mode.
Yeah, Kev, look, it's everyone's here. Feels like the whole Tanks community has come to Melbourne. And we've got 2 big matches coming up tonight. How are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, pretty keen. Show match, obviously, is going to be fantastic to kick things off. But then, obviously, the main meal afterwards, you've got the grand finals between Sentinels as well as Bulldogs. And, well, there's a lot to talk about there, isn't there?
Kev, like, there's a lot to go through. And, Jordan, I think, it's pretty funny to see that 1v1 at the end of the hype video, right, coming into this, and how that was the end to one of our semi-finals. The 2 teams who made it through tonight. I think maybe a couple of weeks ago, some people would have been surprised that it was these 2 teams who made it through to finals.
I mean, I definitely didn't predict either of these teams to go through to the grand finals. I thought it was going to be Matildas. I thought it was going to be Scorpions. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Both these 2 turned up on the day. Bulldogs, they kind of trounced the Matildas. A bit of an implosion from the Matildas, who looked so good during the rest of the season. And Bulldogs, they continued to peak week after week after week. And they were able to get it over the line in that semi-final. Sentinels, it was a bit of a different story for them. We sort of thought Scorpions were off to the races. A 3-0 lead, it seemed like a sure thing.
There is no way you lose from there.
Absolutely not. No way. No way. And yet
Can't happen.
It happens. Sentinels turns up. Playoff Sentinels finally makes their way back. And we thought we weren't going to get to see them defend their title, yet here they are. So a great reverse sweep from the North Sydney Sentinels to join the Brisbane Bulldogs in the grand final today.
Kev, now we're here. These 2 teams, they've been prepping for the last couple of weeks, and there's a lot to play for. Obviously, as you can see, first place prize, 10,000 AUD, 5K for second. I know that the first place team is also picking up some Republic of Gamers monitors as well, and HyperX headsets across the board. But apart from the money, apart from the gear, how good would it be to say, hey, first time back on LAN, we came out on top?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. It's going to be huge confidence for a lot of these players going forward. And I think a bit of redemption arc if Bulldogs are able to take it today, because they were unable to really go past the Archers during Season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2 have struggled. It would really be a triumph if they're able to come back after a huge struggle. Just testimony to the fact that you can just pull these victories out when it comes to the important time. But similarly for Sentinels as well, what a statement to make. They can just go, it doesn't matter if it's online or at LAN, we're champions both seasons. And that is definitely a statement to make.
That's a cool opportunity to say, hey, we actually went back-to-back the first 2 seasons, coming away on top. Jordan, it actually has been a pretty crazy season. 8 teams playing around robin, obviously into a top 4 semi-finals into our grand final here. It's amazing for me to see how far this format has come in the last 12 months.
Well, especially like the way that we've progressed, obviously, from Season 1 to Season 2. We had that extra team in Season 1. That got culled, bring it back to the 8 teams. I feel like that really aided the format. We didn't have those bye weeks. We didn't have those discussions around, oh, well, this team's doing well, but we have to see them play their extra match, or they haven't played their extra match, and therefore maybe the standings aren't
doing the math in your head the whole season long.
So that helped. Obviously, brought a lot of new players back after Season 1 as well to come into Season 2 and really elevate the skill pool, and the teams were a lot closer in Season 2. So everything sort of seemed to come together for Season 2, and obviously we're looking forward to moving into the grand finals. We're looking forward to what's going to be coming in the future as well for ANZ PL, and it certainly has been a really nice progression over the last 12 months, as you say.
Yeah, it's done well. I feel, Kev, that the teams as well have kind of upped their game since Season 1. It was kind of like, look, they came into Season 1, they didn't really know what to expect. How seriously is everyone going to take this? How much prep, how much screwing do we do? And coming towards the end of Season 2, and everything's come, really started to build up, and we've seen, I think, some of the best games we've ever seen out of this 5v5 format in those semi-finals.
Yeah, I would say that everyone would say that the games would have peaked at that point in time, and that just comes down to, well, increased scrimmage, right? The teams are taking a lot more seriously. We're seeing a lot of people that would have gone from Season 1. It's like, oh, ANZLPL, it's not cool. Then they realize they're missing out, and now they're coming back into it. So you've got that factor coming in as well.
They're all starting to come back because it's a great format. Jordan, do you want to quickly talk us through what we're talking about in 5v5? Obviously, 5 versus 5, 5 tanks on either side. and we're playing for time.
Yeah, it's a little bit different to what we used to see from competitive World of Tanks. Obviously, most players would be familiar with what we got previously in the 7 vs 7 format. It's kind of the same deal. It's more or less the exact same format with some restrictions. It's obviously 5v5, so you've got 2 less tanks. There's a little bit less time to play with as well. As opposed to 10 minutes, you do now only get 7 minutes if you're on that attacking side to make your attack work. And there's also some tank restrictions involved. You do get to have 5 tier 10 tanks, so there is that, which is great. But with the max of 2 of the same tank in any given game does sort of, I feel like, lead us to a bit more variety than what we used to see back in the day in the likes of the 7v7 format, where it really did come down to the tier points as opposed to you can choose only 2 of these tanks. And so you are forced, in a sense, if you want those 2 bat chats, that's fine, but you can't take 5 bat chats, which is sometimes what we used to see.
As much as 5 EBRs was fun to watch last week, yeah, I think this format's worked out really well. And Kev, when we come to maps, obviously, you play 1 battle on attack and 1 battle on defense. And if you're attacking, how does that work? You're trying to capture a point.
Yeah, I mean, you can either eliminate the enemy tanks on the defensive side before time runs out, as Donglord found out, I guess, the hard way. And the other way around is by capping, which is very, very difficult in this format. Obviously, there's a lot of territory that you need to cover. It is what it is.
It takes a while to capture the point. The more tanks on the point, the better you go. But we'll sort of be able to experience that before we get to the grand final, because we have our show match. And Jordan, I think some people here today may just be here for the show match. They say this is the real prize that we're all playing for today. It's Team Vondle upper team against Team JayRated, and I haven't seen 2 more scuffed teams in the history of competitive gaming, if you ask me.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not sure which team I'd rather be on here. Maybe I'd prefer to be on neither, especially given the way that the show match turned out for the Wargaming team when we got to watch it in that 3rd, 4th place day. It didn't go too well for them, but at least now things are looking a little bit more even in terms of the team strength. They did kind of get a little bit dumpstered by the community contributors, but now that they have been able to sort of pick and choose their players, things are looking pretty good. They've got quite a few good names here. Ben, I don't know if you want me to go through them or if you want to go through them yourself.
Do you want to go? Obviously, so Vondle and JayRated, both from Wargaming here in Australia. Talk us through Team Vondle.
Okay, Team Vondle is comprised of CJ, Trax, Slayer, and Bales. Now, obviously, all of these players have played in ANZ PL Season 2, so they've got a little bit of, experience in this kind of format. They know what they're doing, one would imagine. The question is going to be whether or not they're going to be feeling confident coming in playing with Vondle on their team. I mean, he did okay. I actually thought in that last show match we got to see from him. But when it comes to playing on stage, there's that extra level of experience, that extra level of pressure that you might need to deal with. And across the board, actually, most of those players don't really have that kind of level of experience, with the exception of Bales, who did play over in the WGL Grand Finals in 2017. He played a couple of the local tournaments as well in the APAC region. So he's got a lot of experience in that respect.
Surely you're talking about the stage for that.
Correct.
This is more important as far as I'm concerned, Kevin.
Probably is, yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, you're talking about experience as well, but even looking at JayRated, he just goes, all right, I'll pick JT instead. I don't know if that's going to go well, but...
Yeah, I'm interested to see how even these 2 teams are, Jay's the boss, JayRated's the boss. Maybe did he get first pick? Did he give Vondle the people he didn't want? How did that play out? I'm not sure.
I mean, we can talk about the team that Jay has actually managed to put together here. He's got JT, Lightning Man, Saxon, and Party. And I got to say, I think if I look both of these rosters, I'm probably leaning on Jay's roster just a little bit more. Maybe I'm a little bit biased towards the team efficiency lands, but there is 2 versus 1. So maybe we'll see how JT and Party can go. I did say to JT, I think they're going to win. I said I think he's going to farm alongside Party. So maybe I've gotten inside of his head a little bit. Maybe I've thrown a little bit of a spanner in the works for him. But yeah, I mean, I like the roster that he's put together. You've got an IGL in there. That said, so too does Vondle in CJ, who's going to be sort of calling the shots for his team, as far as I've been told. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite an interesting prospect, and it sort of comes down to a question of how do these teams kind of comprise their roles, right? You look at Vondle's roster, you say, okay, well, they've got a very good bat chat player in Bales. That's probably what he's going to be doing.
Yep.
Trax can certainly pick up some of these autoloaders as well. And then what does Vondle take? Is he an autoloader player? Is he a heavy tank player? The same question can be said for Jay. We do have a bit of a better understanding of what we're going to get from the pros, but when it comes to our Wargaming employees, that for me is the question. That's the piece of the puzzle that needs to fall into place.
We did see them last week in the show match, in the WGCC's show match, Kevin. I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to say that neither Vondle nor JayRated really... Jay went for a swim, it was kind of up in the air. But how the map's going to change this off? So we take a look here, obviously, Himmelsdorf, Ghost Town, Cliff, and Ruenberg. We're playing 2 battles on each map. should we get to Ruinberg, it's only one battle, it's a tiebreaker. Do the maps come into this at all when we're talking about a show match? How important are there maps that are going to maybe favour a sort of brawly fashion that you might expect here, or do you think someone's kind of brought in maybe a secret strat or two?
No, these maps are really fun to watch, just because they are very brawl-orientated, especially with Himmelsdorf, Cliff, as well as Ruinberg. Ruinberg is a bit more of a coin flip map. I kind of still characterise it as like a Mines, where if you're a defensive side, you have to take a bit of a risk. On the attacking side, you have to take a bit of a risk, and hopefully the defensive side doesn't get caught out like the Sentinels were earlier on in the season. I mean, Ghost Town is, it's starting to grow on you, isn't it? I don't know if it's starting to grow on Elfish Guy a little bit. I've always enjoyed it because there's that mix of urban combat in the middle where you see your E100s, your super heavies rolling out. Then at extremities, you've got your wing players, your T100 LTs, as well as your bat chats trying to fight for vision control. And that's just an interesting dynamic. Not many maps kind of like that.
Yeah, and that's it. Like if you go back to the VOD from the first broadcast of this season, there's me going, oh, I don't like Ghost Town. This map, maybe I'm not very good at it. But it's actually provided some really close battles so far this time, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've actually enjoyed watching Ghost Town. I think it's probably been a good implementation over Steps. There was quite a few teams that weren't too eager to play Steps a whole lot in Season 1, and it did lead to some of the less exciting games than what we got to see on some other maps. So I'm quite happy that we've got Ghost Town in. And I agree with Kev. I think it's a nice variety in terms of the way that the map plays out. Instead of you having these corridors that you need to normally sort of take control of and slowly work your way through the map, you have to think about the entire ring around the map, which can be taken by anyone at any time. And so you have this brawl in the middle, but then you also have to be aware about all of the angles on the outskirts. Whereas normally if you're brawling, you might have to be aware of one angle on one side or one angle on, if you're on the defense, you might have to worry about one part of the map, or on the offense, you might have to worry about another. But on Ghost Town, it feels like you have to worry about the whole ring around you at any given time. And so if you have the stronger wing players or these bat chats or these T100 LTs, then yeah, definitely it's quite an exciting map, and you can do a lot on it, which is what I like.
And Kev, we kind of saw that with the Bulldogs, right, in one of the semis. They really played it out well. We've seen some of those good games, as we said. Coming into this, though, it's Himmelsdorf first up. Do we have some predictions on who's going to come out on top? Jordan, I'm going to go to you first for the series. Who do you think? Is it Team JayRated or is it Team Vondle?
I did give you a little bit of a sneak peek, a little bit of a tease, Ben. I think I'm going to lean on Team JayRated for this one. I'm not sure what the scoreline inevitably will be. I know we're playing all 7 of the rounds, so let's just throw in a 4-3. I think I'm going to throw in a 4-3 for Team Jay.
Okay, 4-3. That's a pretty even result. You can't get much closer than that, Kev. Are you feeling sort of the same thing? Are you on the JayRated hype train? And if so, does it sound like it's going to be a 4-3 to you?
I honestly have my backing behind Vondle's team. I think it'll be a 5-2.
Oh, 5-2 for Team Vondle. I don't want to ruin it. I'm happy for it to go 50-50. Let's take a look. This is Himmelsdorf. We're about to get this one underway. It's a World of Tanks ANZ Premier League Season 2 Grand Final. The Grand Final is a little bit later on tonight, but before we get there, we've got this epic show match between Team Vondle, Team JayRated. They pulled in the best of the best, or the best of the rest, I suppose, because theoretically the best of the best are on stage later tonight. But let's get into the action.
Over the contrarian, Kev, you really had to throw me under the bus a little bit there. You had to say a different prediction to me. I don't know why it's always you versus me. Why can't we ever just agree on something?
Just flavour it up a little bit. We have to have a little bit of a contest over here, make it a bit more personal.
Okay.
It's a bit more fun. If everyone was just going, this team's going to win, then it's a bit boring, isn't it?
It is always a little bit boring. That's normally me that has to make the wild out there guess, but not this time. Thank you. You're in there to save us. It's show match time. Let's kick this one off. The J Stars versus the Von Stars. Maybe it's a chance for JT to redeem himself in the semi-finals.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. He tried his best, but he couldn't get there for the grand final. Has still found his way onto the stage regardless. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Time to jump into our first game of the ANZPL finals. It's not the grand finals, but it's the show match finals, and this is going to be a big one. We'd love to hear some noise from you if you're here in the Alienware Arena at Fortress Melbourne, but make sure you save your voice for later on as well when that grand final does kick off. Kev, what have you got for me? What are you seeing? Anything to note here going into game 1?
Number 1 Jay fans put 277 over here, so I'm not too sure about who's piloting that one over there on Jay's team. But a very strong position. 50B very lucky to get him on the side.
So number 1 Jay fan is JT.
Okay.
I have the list. I can let you know who exactly is who as we go through. Number 4 Vondle fan is Mr. Bales. which is not a huge surprise to be seeing, given that he's in a 50B. It is a tank that he predominantly likes to play on Himmelsdorf. In the other 50B for the Von Stars is Trax. So again, another 50B player. So it makes a lot of sense. Seems like these players from the ANZPL are finding their feet, getting comfortable in their traditional roles, and hopefully that's going to work out for them in this matchup.
So already a bit of a problem for the J-Stars, considering that they have taken a bit of damage getting the 277 in position, and they don't really have too much more information to really work with. Whereas for the Von Stars, I mean, you can see the 705A at the moment, just clearing out a couple of positions right now. I think that's CJ, isn't it?
CJ is Vondle fan number 1.
Yep.
The number 1 Vondle fan.
Yeah, so he's managed to sneak his way into the 2-cap, has a little bit of control thanks to the fact that they've taken Hill nice and early on. E100 starting to throw Nana as well, 50B just holding up the position, another 50B splitting up. So this is really interesting, both 50B splitting up, and it is forcing a reaction right now. And we always talk about how important it is on Himmelsdorf to try to contain the D line. That's a nice little shot coming out from Vondle.
Yeah, good start, definitely. 546 damage straight onto one of the players on the JayRated side of things. I believe that is, again, JT, number 1 J fan. And he's actually looking a bit worse for wear. 1500 HP in that 277. Traditionally would like to be brawling it out in that tank. And with a lower amount of HP, it does sort of make him a bit of an easier target to pick off, particularly for the 50B. If you remember, 1600 damage in the clip. So potential for a 1 clip from the 277. Or onto the 277, I should say. And this is not looking too good for the J-Stars, I don't think, right now. They've tried to cross in onto the cap. JayRated himself has taken a lot of damage. And all of a sudden, that HP is starting to creep away from J-Stars.
The problem is, though, they don't really have control about the D7, D8 pocket. So the 705A is under threat, which means that all the cap pressure's gone off. So it doesn't matter if... who's number 1 J fan again? JT. So it doesn't matter if JT's been tagged down a little bit. This is the most interesting side scrape you'll see, because this is not side scraping. This just means your tank gets insta-penned. So, and now he's dead because the E100 from Vondle, as well as it's Bales, isn't it, coming out to assist.
Yeah, Bales is in one of those 50Bs. I'm really not sure that there's a whole lot that JT can do, and he is taking down straight off the bat the first loss for the J-Stars. Admittedly, some of the trades back have actually not been too bad for JayRated's side, and they've kind of equalized and even gotten themselves an advantage in terms of the HP pool, but that is very, very quickly starting to depreciate with the extra numbers that the Vondle Stars have got.
2 clips over here for the number 4 J fan at this stage. So needs to try to get the flank on, but the Superconk right now that you're seeing on screen just doesn't have the ammo rack, or it's been damaged, so it means that the DPM's going to be cut in half. Vondle's definitely putting out a lot of damage, but the focus fire is just not there from the Von Stars. Finally, at least 4 and 3, but the HP relatively equal. Comes down to focus fire. Need to get rid of some of these tanks.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate right now that Lightning Man has got a damaged ammo rank, because he'd be able to pump all that damage out in the Super Conqueror. It's taking him a long time to reload, but luckily he's got the backup here from Saxon, who is the number 3 J fan in the other Super Conqueror. They're waiting for that 50B. This is important. Party in the number 4 tank is going to be a huge... What? That was an ammo rack.
Yep.
That was an ammo rack, Kevin. All of a sudden, things start to slip away from the Von Stars.
That's RNG, isn't it? At the end of the day. 50B, though, just on reload for now. No, it still has the clip available. There it is, at the very least. Number 1 Vondle fan, able to equalize the numbers once again. All comes down to, I believe it is Trax at the moment. A lot of HP for him to work with. A lot of time as well on that attacking side still to take down a couple of tanks. All of a sudden, comes down to Lightning Man by himself. How is he? Wait, hang on a second. He doesn't have a repair kit.
Yep,
there it is.
That's going to be that. So Team Vondle picks up the victory in round 1 of Himmelsdorf. I've thrown the shell away, but it's all right. I'm holding on to it. Ben, what do you think of that?
I love it. Look, that was already much closer than what we saw last week. So already in a great position, because it's not going to be a blowout. Maybe that 4-3's looking pretty good so far as a prediction. How do you think they felt as a team, Kev? Like, you come in that, obviously, don't have that much time to scrim. Did it feel like they're gelling yet, or are we going to take 7 maps?
I think it's going to take all 7 maps. I mean, that was pretty serious from both parties. So they were looking like they definitely wanted to focus up and pick a couple of serious tanks over there. If you ask me, that's no fun. Where are the Fosh Bees?
Look, that's something we may address later. Hopefully, we'll start seeing, you know, some of the fun tanks coming through. But again, Jordan, I said, maybe, this is the best of the rest. These guys here to redeem themselves. JT doesn't want to let this one go. He wants to win something on the grand final stage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Might as
know.
well be here.
I don't know who's the IGL, who's calling the shots for Team J, but they definitely did JT a little bit dirty there. He got caught in all sorts of troubles. The E100's rolling around the corner. By the time he was even there, he was already at half HP. So he's probably not happy with how that first game has gone as an individual. He liked to sort of spruik about how things have been going well for him. He's been pumping out the stats during the ANZ PL season, but not so much here in the show match. What I did like was for Team Vondle, they sort of got themselves in those good early positions. They were able to get a lot of bleed out onto Team J. And I think for Team J, some of the rotations weren't quite so cohesive. They were going in or going on those rotations one by one as opposed to one big core unit. Started to get picked down slowly but surely, and that was part of the problem, part of the reason why things started to go so poorly for them. So they had that little bit of luck, that little bit of extra emphasis, a bit of extra oomph getting put onto them at one point, and it looked like maybe they could turn things back around off the back of the ammo rack. But at the end of the day, the Vondle Stars, they look just a little bit better.
Yeah, look, and it's a good start because, look, I heard some rumours that maybe people thought that Jay's team was a bit stacked. So maybe they're just giving over to the Vondle Stars to start this off, or maybe, Team Von Star just a little bit too good. Good to see Vondle in the E100 as well, doing a little bit of work. Who's the MVP so far? Who was your standout, Jordan?
It's actually probably pretty hard to say, obviously, without having a look at the stats. Was Bales the standout? I thought Trax did pretty well. Was Trax the last 50B that was alive? Number 4.
No,
that is
Bales.
Yeah, probably was Bales. We'll have to see who sort of put that good damage in early on in the piece. I thought Vondle actually did pretty well for himself, I sort of ragged on him a little bit going into that game. Thought he might be a bit of a dead weight, and maybe that'll still be yet to come. But he got a good early shot in with that E100, seemed to soak up a lot of damage, was able to survive a long time. So have to imagine he's put in some good work. This was an interesting play for me as well from Party. He just didn't seem to have a good grasp on the reload there from number 1 Vondle fan, and drove around, kind of gave up his life in that 50B, wanted to clip him out. Obviously should have been able to do so in a couple of shots, but in the end gives up his life and leaves the poor Lightning Man in a 1-on-2, which is never really going to be winnable at that point in time. So
yeah, it's a little bit rough at that point. Look at them. We're starting to fill up here. Got a big night of tanks ahead. It's been good to see. Like, it already feels like there's that party atmosphere, right? Like, even yesterday with a lot of the tanks community coming in, a lot of the players, coming in last night as well, and it's been really good so far. So I think tonight's going to be a pretty good night. I hope that this show match really does provide a bit of fun. We'll have to see whether it's a 7-0 though. I hope we don't. I don't think we're going to get there. I think it's sort of shaping up to maybe be something good.
Yeah, hopefully it will be nice and tight with a 4-3 scoreline because it keeps things interesting until the very end. But that's a good start for Team Vondle. So I'm already up 1 against Elfish Guy. So proving he knows absolutely nothing about tanks as per usual.
I'm sure it won't last.
Mate, probably won't, to be honest. We'll have to see.
We won't have to see very long, though. We don't have to wait very long, because we're getting back into Himmelsdorf very quickly. Obviously, as we said, one team attacking, one team defending, and quite often it is easier to defend than it is to attack as well. So sometimes you got to take that into consideration. We'll see whether that plays out in the same fashion through the rest of this. That's kind of how you get to a lot of those, 2-2s or 3-3s heading into the tiebreaker, which would be the map 7 tonight, should we get there. And then that map 7 only a best of 1, which is it was nail-biting action last time we did it.
Indeed. Well, I think, Ben, it is time for us to say goodbye to you for a moment, and it's back over to myself and Karath for the second round of Himmelsdorf here, Kev. I know you're feeling confident, you're feeling a little bit egotistical perhaps as you throw some shade my way after Team Vondle got themselves a victory, but I dare say it won't last long. J-Stars moving on to the defense, have a double 50B setup, double E100 and WZ111 5A. Man, back in the day, that used to be the power tank. Not so much anymore, but we'll see how they can utilize it.
Well, it still has more gun depression than a 277, but I feel like it just feels a bit sluggish gun handling, even though the stats may read that the 5A has decent gun handling. It's just sometimes the feel of the tank. The 277 does seem to snapshot a little bit better, probably a bit of Russian bias. So, all right, pretty standard hold actually from Von Stars. So they're not really going anywhere in particular. They're not looking to get some map control right now over the rail yard. They're just looking to hold firm. very standard opening development from what we've seen from a lot of Himmelsdorf. Just a 5A and 277 trying to see if they can snipe each other's cupolas.
Yep.
That's really just down to luck at this point in time. AMX 50Bs on the hill as well from the J-Stars.
Just sitting in those pillboxes, which makes sense. You know, you get the info coming out from both of those two tanks. If there's any crosses coming through, you know, the 277 is going to be able to spot things out. But at the moment, the E100s are able to work their way up the banana and haven't actually been spotted out too early. So there's a good progression forward. Number 2, JFan doing a good job of just keeping Von Stars in check. And JayRated has crept his way forward alongside Saxon, who is in the other E100.
Now the 277 is going to be in a bit more of a precarious situation. And it is going to be CJ that's playing that 277 this time around. Vondle actually not playing the keyhole at the moment, so that's a bit more interesting because an E100 back there, yes, it can side scrape away, very hard to get a shot into, obviously, or a damaging shot in.
Well, I think what's going to be important here for the J-Stars on their attacking side is how they utilize these 250Bs, right? You take 250Bs for the ability to just blow a tank up. If you roll around the corner with 250Bs, that's 4,000 damage, or not even quite 4,000. It's a little bit less than 4,000.
I think CJ's dead.
And then you blow someone up.
I think CJ's dead over here. JayRated stuck completely underneath. He can't really back out. Both 50Bs ready just to drop the damage. All JayRated really needs to do is just apply a bit more pressure. A bit of an interesting pathway that he doesn't really cut through mid and then come in to try to create a threat. The 705A is coming across. He's been spotted out, so that's always going to be good for the attacking side. You start figuring out where these tanks are, but that's going to be so hard to still pen on the lower plate of a 705A, who's now in a side scrape position. 50B is going to be on clip. Position has been revealed as well, so that's going to be great information for the defenders. You can see a couple of blind shots flying that way as well.
Yeah, shots flying all over the map at the moment. I can see going backwards and forwards. Some back in the direction of the 50Bs of the J-Stars up on the hill, but no connections as of yet from Von Stars.
Okay, so E100 is in a really good position right now on the side of Saxon, so he's controlling a lot of territory right now for the J-Stars. JayRated as well, just the fact that he's there as a threat. Vondle missing a bit of a shot there, which means that the 50Bs are finally shown to come off hill, but the cap pressure is going to begin. And now JayRated is making a bit of a move. I'm not too certain about this one, but I mean, the 277's dead here.
Is it even about the cap pressure at this point? I don't think so anymore. I think with that pick, especially with the way that JT and that 50B is absolutely booking it down the hill, it's less about the cap pressure right now and more about J-Stars just trying to force a fight. They don't care about the cap. They don't want to get the cap. They just want to force the Vondle Stars to make a move and come to them, because with 250Bs, a 4v5 advantage, they are in such a good position here to just really dictate how this fight plays out.
There's no ability to retake at the moment. You can see it's like only Vondle's really in position to do so. Superconk's going to come across right now, but he's going to have to deal with a 5A. This 50B also not really moving anywhere right now. So Bale's obviously trying to figure out the right time, but eventually it's going to be a little bit unideal. The 705A actually bouncing tracks. That's not... Don't want to be doing that. That's a rear of an EU100. You need to be penning that shot. So JayRated is trying to do his best to equalize the numbers scenario. His turret's not pointing the other way, shooting some tanks. He's just trying to get into position, maybe to block the corridor. 8 seconds left. Vondle can't get a reset because he's just baited the entire team. He's not moving. And all the tanks, they're not resettable. It's going to be a 1-1 right now. The cap's going to come through, and there you have it. They can't reset it over there. Von Stars just took too long. And JayRated, even though he does go down, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter. He was in like the 1v4 or something, but he doesn't care. This is exciting. Both teams winning their attacking side here on Himmelsdorf. And Kev, you said sometimes the cap doesn't matter. We don't see many caps. We see a capture straight off the bat. So what a great result. And, you know, nice work from Team JayRated.
Yeah, I think it shows a little bit of the inexperience maybe of the Vondle squad together as a unit. You probably would be saying ordinarily, okay, I've got the reset, or you need to get the reset, or whatever that may be, but the communication might not have been on point there. Maybe no one said, I can't get a reset. Someone else needs to do it, because it just took far too long for them to recognize that that was actually a reality, that they did need to get a reset. And by the time they did, felt like there was 10 seconds left and you're in an E100. What are you really going to do?
And when we're talking reset, Kev, obviously we're talking about if you hit a tank who's on the capture point, you do damage it, it resets the timer. So you can indefinitely reset someone here if you've got the correct angle to do it. But for Team JayRated, they just came in way too quickly. They were in the right spots at the right time. And as Jordan said, and we'll probably see here in the replay, the positioning just wasn't there.
I mean, it comes down to, you look at the minimap right now over here. So JayRated is just dying pretty much, doing absolutely nothing at all. But it's kind of, you look where Vondle is as an E100. Obviously, the pressure's come out where you can't really get the angle. But we talk about resets. You have to go for it even if you lose your tank. You buy an extra 30 seconds. Okay, at least you've equalized the numbers a little bit over there. You're buying a team a chance without trying to even go for a reset. All you need sometimes is HE. Because we talk about, okay, to get a reset, it needs to either be a damaging shot or a shot into a module. A module will still actually reset the cap. So as long as you do that, that's fine.
And sometimes it's just worth it. Just give up your tank, keep the game going. But no one in a position to do that. I don't know if they're all too busy chasing Jay or just really hadn't thought about it, Jordan. But in the end, it just didn't work out for them. So Himmelsdorf will put that one aside. We move now to Ghost Town. And this is the map we were talking about before. We're really... It kind of opens things up, a very different map to what Himmelsdorf is.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a bit more of a difficult one for these two teams to sort of negotiate, right? Himmelsdorf is a map that has been around for such a long time. It's gone through very few changes, at least in terms of how the map plays out. So if you've ever watched a competitive game, if you've watched, you know, back in the 7v7 format, you've watched this 5v5 format, it sort of plays out in a very similar fashion. Ghost Town, on the other hand, is essentially a completely new map to the competitive environment. Obviously, we did have a Ghost Town back in the day, but it's been completely reworked. It's totally different. The only season that we've actually seen it so far has been this season. And even this season, it feels like there's been a lot of different ideas as to how you should be going about your attacking side, your defensive side. Initially, it felt like it was a very, very heavy-oriented map. We would see teams really just trying to rush onto the point in the middle of the
How many heavy tanks can I put on a capture point?
Correct. But in the later stages of the season, I think when teams have had a bit more time to explore it, play with the timings, understand the way that rotations work around the map, we started to see a lot more bat chats, and then even further on into the season, we started to even see some T100 LTs getting pulled out here and there as well. So it seemed to me like the more time teams were given, the more willing they were to sort of play around with the map a little bit more so than essentially saying, we're just going to roll face on the cap. Yeah,
and I can understand why when you're trying to get into something, maybe you don't have as many strats yet. It can just make sense to roll those heavies on. But as Jordan said, Kev, it's actually, we've got some great games from this. Particularly, I go back to that Bulldogs game and, you know, the way that they controlled the vision in that. And when you can, as you guys referred to earlier, essentially, it's a town inside the very center of the map and everything else is essentially open. So vision is so important because you never know where someone's going to come from.
I mean, yes and no to some extent. I think it's also the case of there are some strategies designed to punish the fact that a lot of teams like taking the extremities. You look at a side like Conquerors who definitely like taking the cap very, very fast in the middle, and it worked. As soon as you don't get a reset, sometimes talk about cap doesn't matter, but Mimo misses a shot, and that's pretty much it, right? That's what we call a Wimmo moment. But outside of that, there's other ways that you take attack. We've seen Dark in a T100 LT from the Bulldogs. Might see it later on as well, him playing the T100 LT in some of these open maps, where he just completely goes and takes control somewhere else, exerts pressure in a different way. So truly a map hasn't been 100% figured out just yet, and I'm always really keen to see what teams really build into it.
Look, I'm not expecting one of these two teams to figure out Ghost Town, but that's where we're heading. It's 1-1 in this best of 7. Our show match between Team Vondle and Team JayRated. And let's see how this one rolls out.
Yeah, I mean, this is very much within the expectations, at least for me, Kev, in terms of looking at the Vondle roster. They've got two very strong bat chat players. You've got Bales, you've got Trax. I think they're going to look for the double bat chat here on Ghost Town. Whereas for the J-Stars, there isn't really the obvious choice. We've seen JT playing it a little bit here and there, and he is actually, interestingly, in the bat chat here, but he doesn't have someone to back him up there, and that 2v1 battle is always going to be difficult. It's something we talked about a lot during the ANZ PL season. So if JT can somehow hold his own against the two bat chats, that's going to be very, very beneficial for his roster, but needs to be quite careful because now he's lit and potentially in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, two bat chats means that he's tanking a lot of damage, but it's very easy to duck behind that ridge over there. So he's able to spot out two bat chats. And just remember, J-Stars are going to be the attack. The fact that you identify both bat chats are there means that the north side of the map is going to be clear. This is where you actually start pushing your super heavies, probably across to maybe about the D7 position. Maybe try to get a couple of flanks in from the Super Conquerors E100s. We always talk about them moving onto the cap. And They're going to be applying some pressure right now, tucking themselves into the corner. Super Conquerors as well, going to try to keep some of them, their heads down on the side of the Von Stars.
That's not too bad of an entry, to be honest, for the J-Stars. Oh, never mind. JayRated's been set on fire. It was looking so good. When you saw Saxon get across, taking only one shot, Jay looked like he might get across without taking any. And there goes about 1,000 HP. So very, very unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. They've gotten themselves onto the cap. They still have a decent chunk of HP to work with here. They need to make sure they can work their way through the rest of this fight, brawling out effectively.
The problem is the Bat Chats are coming into rotation right now, and there's nothing really threatening them at this stage. They're off clip. I mean, if you miss a shot in the Bat Chat, that's never going to be ideal. But it is going to be Trax who's just looking to get as much damage out as possible right now.
Lightning Man's into all sorts of problems. The Bat Chats have arrived behind him, and he's down to 1,000 HP. He doesn't have his repair kit by the looks of things anymore, and that's pretty critical HP that the J-Stars can't afford to be losing. A 1v1 between the Bat Chats right now. JT is one shot away from death, but it's Bales in the end that decides to move away from that fight, not interested in taking it anymore, which is a good decision because he's getting chased by a Super Conk.
Trades are going very favorably right now for the E100s, actually. Just needs a little bit more angling on the armor, but there you have it. It is going to be Bales actually going down to JT early on.
They brought it back to the 5-on-4, despite the fact that they have that HP deficit. They have the numbers, which means they have the guns in the game, which means they have more effective DPM available to them. And if they get their tanks in the right positions, they can actually outfight the Von Stars.
I was going to say, I mean, the E100 angling just isn't there at the moment. They're eventually going to get penned at the end of the day. So the cap pressure is going to be completely alleviated. I mean, JT was on the reload as well in that Bat Chat. Now the Super Conquerors are just coming in a little bit too late. They're isolated as well. The Bat Chat coming in on the flank. The DPM's going to be there. It is going to be Trax just finishing off party at this stage. I think this is about it. That's it. Just like that, all the tanks dead. Bit of a anticlimactic finish. But
yeah, I thought that was kind of shaping up. I was really like, this is going to be an overly dramatic finish. And in the end, it was just, no, the Von Stars coming out on top, though. Defensive side, sometimes you do see that. Obviously not on Himmelsdorf, so that was fun. But it wasn't 5v5 heavy tanks, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what part of the issue there was for Team JayRated was that they just couldn't control the outer ring at all. We saw how easily the two Bat Chats were able to overwhelm JT. Granted, it might have been a little bit of a happy-go-lucky kind of shot, taking that one, sitting inside the bush, instantly gets shot and, spotted, and then two shots come straight back. It's not a favorable trade for him at all. Has to back away. And then Trax and Bales can essentially do whatever they want. They know they've done so much damage to their opposing Bat Chat. They know now that he's not really going to be able to compete in that battle at all. And so once we start to take control of the outer ring, they get around behind the Super Conqueror. That was Lightning Man. He lost most of his HP. Then they have angles in onto the middle of the map as well, onto the cap, get the resets out there when they need to. It just becomes a little bit too easy. So two Bat Chats versus one. Feels like a big problem there for the J-Stars. I wonder how things might have gone had we seen another Bat Chat out on the field there to help JT.
And Kev, as Jordan, I think, alluded to earlier, look, the J-Stars, yes, they had the HP disadvantage, but they had an extra gun in the game at that point. And we're like, maybe they're going to be able to turn it around. But when you look at the amount of HP the Von Stars had as a team overall at the end, I think they'd only lost 1k during that entire rest of the battle. So really quite a good victory for them.
The Super Conquerors weren't doing anything inside the city. That's the problem that I had, is as soon as you identify the fact that the south side, you've completely lost control. There's two Bat Chats there, okay. JT needs to get out. The Super Conquerors needed to push, needed to get safe, because there's a lot of firing corridors from that south side into where the Super Conquerors were sitting. They just dilly-dallied around, did nothing at all. So I know the Super Conqueror is slow. That's why we talk about how it's hard to relocate it sometimes and why you do bring tanks like a 277 instead. But you got to move. You got to do something. You can't sit there and wait.
Ghost Town is not exactly the biggest of maps, though, either. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, maybe that's a factor when you're talking about Himmelsdorf. You have to go from one side of the map to the other. But when you're talking about Ghost Town, you're in the town already. There isn't that far that you have to actually go. So you've got to make that decision. You've got to do something. As you say, if you're a tank that's not firing, in a lot of instances, you're an ineffective tank. You might not as well be alive. Like, you might as well be playing a 4v5 or whatever it may be.
If you're not doing it, you may as well not be doing anything. People who are doing stuff tonight, everyone here at the Alienware Arena here at Fortress Melbourne, I want to know, now that normally we'd be in Twitch chat and we'd be polling, right? And you'd be using your channel points, and Elfish Guy would be losing his. I want to do the Twitch chat poll, but here.
Okay.
So if you're in the audience right now here at Fortress Melbourne, if you want Team JayRated to win, let me hear it. Give us some noise. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. but-
What if you're on the side of the big Vondog himself? Anyone up for Team Vondle?
I actually feel like that was a little bit more towards Team Vondle than to Team
I
JayRated.
feel that's I think that was a good 20% ahead of Team Vondle right now. So I don't know how that equates to channel points, Jordan, but I think they're ahead.
What can you even use channel points for? That's the real question.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Or can you?
Exactly.
Maybe you wouldn't know because you lost all of yours in the semi-finals when you bet. Who did you bet on?
Well, I'm just going to say I blame Bulldogs for that.
Yep.
Both times. Both times, it's Bulldogs' fault. First, because I bet for them, and they lost. And then I bet against them, and they won. How's that fair?
So maybe you should just stop using your channel points.
Maybe Bulldogs should just help a brother out.
Wow.
I know they're here. I know they can hear me. I know they're listening. Like, come on, guys.
They got good, okay? They got good. Well, they were always good, but they got good enough to finally win a semi-final.
Weren't good
here
in that first season
2.
when they lost against the Archers and lost all my channel points. That's all.
Well, they did have Madhouse then, so, Madhouse came in, he was a bit washed, but we chucked him in the washing machine, ran a couple of cycles, he's all right now.
He's back and with a haircut, so we'll see him back on the stage a little bit later. But right now, we're on our show match. It's battle number 4, still on Ghost Town. The Von Stars up 2-1. The J Stars have a bit of work to do. Let's see if they can pick another battle up and even this one up.
Yes, indeed. It's going to have to be the 2-2 that they're looking for. We know and love the ANZPL for the 2-2. So can we get an ANZPL Let's 2-2 today? There's going to be more games after this, of course, but a 2-2 is certainly what the J-Stars are looking for. Again, they've gone for the single bat chat as opposed to the double, so we need to keep our eyes on JT here in the number 1 J fan tank to make sure that he doesn't give up as much HP early on in the piece again.
Yeah, meanwhile, you've got Bales, obviously, as well as Trax once again into the bat chats over there for the Von Stars. Couple of a 277 actually to make sure you can facilitate it. Maybe a couple of faster rotations. They're trying to really create pressure right now on the south side of the map. You can see even blind fire into the bushes, maybe to see if they can get the trace around. They can see the dirt being kicked up. So JT very, very cautious at the moment. Does not want to be tagged by one.
Yeah, lots of shots being fired out here by the team Vondle, but no connections yet. Obviously, they're blind firing, looking for JT in those bushes. Haven't seen him yet. Now the Bat Chats are taking the opportunity to make their move along the K line for Von Stars, which is exactly what JT's here for. He wants to spot them out. Needs to make sure that he does so before they get too close.
There's
Luckily, has got the info, at least that one is there. And Kev, where there's smoke, there's fire. You have to assume that the two Bat Chats are going to be working together. So JT very wisely now will decide to back away.
Very interesting, actually, that the first bat chat from Bale is actually not going to be spotted out. So I don't know if it's a case of maybe a bit of equipment difference or a case of the pathing. But Bales is there now in the bush. Now, you normally see this. If you ever encounter this on random battles, you'll know that this is the part where mediums tanks fight. They sit in this bush, they spot, and you hope that your Artie does more work. There's no Artie over here. You're going to have to do the work yourself. 277's actually come up to reinforce on the side of Party. He's not going to leave JT alone, or I don't know if JT just yelling at Party to come over like old times.
Wouldn't be the first time. Well, no pressure on the cap just yet from Von Stars. They have used a couple of minutes of time already, just taking control of the outer ring, but a 277 in there to reinforce JT now makes that job a bit more difficult.
Party still does have the crotch shot as well, so as soon as any of the Von Stars decide to push into this corridor where the Super Conqueror is currently sitting, Lightning Man just needs to stay still for now. You can see the bat chat just going to see what it can spot out. But so far, we've already had 3 minutes almost pass on the timer. There's been no pressure whatsoever. One of the bat chats actually leaving this position right now. Track's actually going all the way back around, maybe trying to see if he can get some flank shots into north. You're not going to expect the bat chat to be making this rotation at this point in time. E100 as well. This is not a position you normally see an E100 push from. Look where CJ is going with the E100 at the moment. This is not something you see on the attack. And maybe this is going to work out.
Yeah, well, it's going to have to work out because they're spending a lot of time setting these tanks up in these positions. So if it doesn't, where's the recourse for Von Stars? And the fact that this 277 is still up on the hill, assisting JT in the bat chat, is going to make it a lot more difficult for Bales. Shot does go through there, but just lands in the track and actually doesn't end up doing too much damage. Vondle has copped one, however, from Lightning Man, and Another one slides through. JayRated's going to put one out as well, and Vondle is getting absolutely farmed on his way in, but now so too is Lightning Man in the Super Conqueror. That's from Bales. This is going to open up the door, open up the opportunity for JT. He wants to charge forward in the back chat, you can see, but having trouble catching up to Bales right now.
It's going to come down to the aimed shot, and it's going to miss, unfortunately. And it just means that Bales is able to get out alive for now. More time for him to go into the clip, and a 277 chasing as well. Sure, they should be able to take this guy out. They'll be able to take Bales out for now, but the problem is they're starting to lose this cap defense at the moment. And I don't think there's enough shots as well in the back chat for this to work out. So the 277 is going to come across, finish off Bales. The question is how many shots Bales is going to get out? Only 2.
Yeah, not too bad of a trade in the end there for the J-Stars. 3 on 4 right now, favoring the defensive side. We have a couple of E100s crawling it out in the middle on the point. But you got to think there's no cap pressure at all. So what is the incentive for the J-Stars to fight? There isn't one. They have the 4 on 3. They have the advantage. They can force the Von Stars to come to them. And all they have to do is wait patiently. 2 minutes. Time is on their side.
Slayer's doing well, though. There's a lot of HP right now on the side of Vonstar, so even though they don't really have the tanks 3 and 4 right now, they've got the HP to work with, which is so important. We always talk about HP. Your bat chat's able to stay alive for now. So obviously, Track's a huge work he needs to do. He's been spotted out, and obviously JT's going to go for that one, but he's underneath the ridge.
It's a much better angle for JT, though. He gets to pick and choose these fights, whereas Trax kind of has to be ready at any point in time to fire a shot back in JT's direction. And obviously, that makes life a little bit easier for JT than it does for Trax. In mid, in the middle of the map, we're starting to see those extra tanks encroaching in onto CJ, who is in that E100, the #1 Vondle fan. Perhaps not going to be lasting too long.
Should be fine, though. You can see the HP is so low, and some of these members need to start getting rid of these tanks. You can see good focus fire. They are bleeding HP, but they need to get rid of #3 J-Fan. They need to get rid of Saxon at the moment. And now the 277. This is the part where you go, okay, it doesn't have the best DPM, but it can trade effectively. It's got the HP to work with. Now the bat chat also dumping it at the same time. JT needs to win this duel. I mean, he's got enough shots, surely, for this to work out. E100 just needs to stay alive. Slayer needs to cover off in that Super Conqueror to create pressure. JT going to be back on the reload. Super Conqueror just going forward right now. There's no time. The Super Conqueror needs to get rid of the 277 as fast as he can. Start creating cap pressure. I don't think there's enough time, though. That's the problem.
No, there isn't. And if they even get rid of the 277, then they still need to find JT, who's in a bat chat. And a bat chat drives a lot faster than an E100 or a
hang on a
Super
second.
Conqueror.
Okay, 2 tanks on the camera. Where's that going to go down to?
Not 37 seconds, surely not.
35, 34. There's not enough time. There you have it.
Well, are they going to be able to find JT in time? That's the main question.
Absolutely
38. I don't think they will.
No. That's it. It's GG.
Slayer's going in the complete wrong direction as well. Some blind fire shots coming out here from CJ, which is a little ambitious, I must say, Kev. It would be a woeful mistake from JT if he was sitting in one of those bushes instead of behind the terrain.
He's smarter than that. So I did see that his hands were off the keyboard a little bit. I think he knows he's won this one. So well played from JT. That one was very, very close. Comes down to a couple of tanks not remaining, but 2-2's the scoreline right now. So once again, ANZ PL 2-2. Let's battle.
Yeah, we're back to it, and even Stevens, which is what I love to see. I was wondering, is the double bat chat strat going to come out on top again? And it looked, to be honest, like that was going to be the case, but at the end of the day, not enough time left to get the catch, Kev, and a bat chat with like 100 HP sitting behind a rock with 0 seconds on the clock. That's going to get you a win as a defender.
Yeah, it's very important that he's actually able to win that one-on-one against Trax. He was obviously counting the shells, had good information from his teammates, and that's one of the big parts of competitive World of Tanks is ensuring that you're aware of how many shots are left in a bat chat clip or indeed any autoloader clip. But most importantly...
Has he fired 3 or has he fired 4?
Exactly. Most of the time you're focusing on what the bat chats are doing. And if you know that he's fired a couple of shots already, JT down to the last millimeter essentially understands that he's got enough HP to take that fight because Trax is going to run out of ammo, whereas JT has one left in the clip and is able to finish things off. As a result, able to escape with his life. So all these little factors that you don't really think about all that often do come into play when we're talking about such a tight game in a 5-on-5.
Yeah, and particularly I think in that 5v5, firstly, Kev, as we know, every tank a little bit more important. And secondly, you probably have every right to expect that you can do that because there's less tanks on the battlefield. You're not trying to count everyone's shots. You're just paying attention to your part of the battle and whatnot there. But we take a look at Vondle. He's still cool, calm, collected, not really stressed that they lost that one. I kind of get a feeling, right? And maybe I was memeing before, but it kind of feels to me like this Vondle team is playing a little bit better tonight. Does anyone agree or disagree? I feel like they've got that slight edge. If I had to put my channel points on, and I could do it right now, which I can't because it's too late, I'd be on Team Vondle.
I kind of agree with you in a sense. I feel like they're just looking a little bit more cohesive, but not by a large enough margin that it's making a difference on the standings. And often we've seen and talked about it during ANZ PL Season 2 that sometimes you can watch a team and the eye test will tell you that they're just a little bit better, but at the end of the day, if they can't get those points across the line, it doesn't matter. Right now it's 2-2, so if Team JayRated can get their stuff together, they're going to be able to run away with things here still.
A team coming ahead here at 2-2, obviously a best of 7. If you can pick up both sides of Cliff, and I kind of feel like Cliff is one of those maps where sometimes it does end up quite brawly in the middle of the battlefield. You could walk away with the 2-2 right here. Game's over, everyone go home, except, we watch the grand final.
Yeah, Cliff's going to be an interesting one, though, because this is a map where I do feel like you actually need a bit of coordination as a team. It's not as much like Himmelsdorf, where you can sort of 5-man around the map and play...
Just flying V, what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know that you can do that necessarily, because a lot of the time, especially against players of this caliber, if you just try to dump over mid, they're going to have at least the fundamentals and the protocols established that they're going to be able to blow you up before you really do a whole lot. So you need to be making sure that you're not throwing away your life. Rotations are going to be important. Positioning is going to be important. Can someone make a hill climb? That's another question. Are these teams coordinated enough to deny it when they're on the attack and make sure that if a defender is trying to get up, that they can blow that tank up? Or, I mean, a lot of questions come into play when we're talking about Cliff. So certainly a lot to think about for these two teams.
And we've seen some big battles come all the way down to the line on Cliff, and sometimes Cliff can be the deciding factor into exciting 1v1s, which we've seen so far this season. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves so far. This is essentially our last broadcast for Season 2 of ANZ PL for World of Tanks. All season long, we've been giving stuff away through Twitch, thanks to HyperX and the Republic of Gamers. We're still doing that tonight, so if you're at home, get in Twitch chat, spam HyperX. We want to see Republic of Gamers in chat as well. Still giving away headsets and hoodies and SSD enclosures and things like that. And I believe ending tonight is the ROG 144Hz monitor giveaway. So !ROG in chat to find out how to enter that one. I think today is the last day. So your last opportunity, it's an epic monitor you want to get in. It's like widescreen. What more could you want for World of Tanks, Kev? I think I've got one very similar. It didn't make me better because my win rate's still like 42%. But I think for the average person, it's probably going to be a pretty big deal.
Ben, I don't know if I'd be admitting to that in a situation like this.
They already know I'm bad, it's fine. But what's not bad is this show match. We're 2-2 heading into Cliff. Are we going to go through to Ruinberg and our tiebreaker?
Well, that's the big question on everyone's lips at this point, and I got to say, I'm interested to see what we get here on Cliff. We do have a CS63 on the attack. That, to me, screams someone's trying to get somewhere pretty quickly, and looking at the positioning here of Lightning Man, or rather Trax, I should say, who's number 2 for Team Vondle. He's going to go straight up to the donut, but has allowed JT in the back chat to get past him. This could be an all-out brawl, Kev. This could be a press W game that maybe wasn't something that the J-Stars wanted.
I mean, the problem with the CS63 right now is that it needs to just get out of there. They need to dump over Cliff right now on the side of the Von Stars. They need to get rid of this STB, but he's really safe at this stage. I think Trax has managed to get himself in a nice scenario. You can still, should I say Vondle? Number 2 Vondle fan. Trax actually needs to get out. It's Lightning Man that's doing okay for now, but he's going to be dumped across, and now the TVPs, they're in an awkward scenario. Where do they go? This is such a messy Cliff game, but we absolutely love it.
Yeah, well, Trax does get tracked, but he's going to be able to slide his way out to safety. I think that's actually Lightning Man that did go down. It's Trax right now that we're watching in the CS63 that might be having a bit of a problem in just a second. JayRated surely should be the one to finish him off, but it's at the cost of 2 tanks for the J-Stars. I'm not sure that's worth it. They've lost an STB1 and a 277 for a CS63, and so far this defense is not going well at all.
No, they're losing a lot of HP, and the problem is they've got this north side or the hillside control. Normally, if you lose control of here right now, you can't really do anything. All you need to do is this TVP. And I think that's going to be on the side of Monstars. CJ just needs to just keep an eye out. You can see Party's making a bit of a move right now, and he's being ignited. That's it for a TVP. The Bat Chat's trying to help out, but, I mean, they've lost so much territory. They've lost so much pressure. Doesn't matter if this Bat Chat gets rid of this TVP. There's just too many tanks. There's too much HP to chew through.
Well, JT is going to be able to get that kill without losing any HP of his own. The trouble now is going to be the fact that the Von Stars do know he's on reload. JT getting the help out there from Party, but Party missed one of the 3 shots that could have been a huge difference maker in taking out that Bat Chat. For some reason,
Bales?
Bales is not firing a shot.
Yeah, what is Bales doing?
He's gone to sleep. Is he being bad-mannered? What's he doing? What's going on? He's just giving me a little bit of I don't know.
He's counting. He knows exactly how long's left on the reload. Just wants to give a chance. He knows that now the Bat Chat's going to be off reload. He's playing a dangerous game, but somehow it's coming out on top. He's still peeking.
There's maximum BM right now from Bales, and JT can't hit the shots. Bales, don't do it to him like this.
Oh! JT's getting clear flashbacks! Not like this, JT! Vondle's coming in. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Just put him out of his misery, please. In the end, Von Stars will come away with a victory, as seems customary now at this point. They continue to win the first round of every single map, but they aren't yet been able to convert the second round. But again, good start.
Yeah, I was wondering, it's like, are they trying to replicate the greatest moment of all time?
I think he was just trolling him.
But no, I was like, yeah, exactly. Flashbacks for JT. Surely not again. But this one's a little bit tougher, right? Probably not going to win the 1v3. But that game went from, yeah, this might be okay, to the J-Stars in the bin really quickly.
Yep. I mean, it all sort of came down to the fact that we saw Lightning Man kind of get collapsed upon by a couple of STBs, or it might have been an STB and something else. Doesn't really matter. It was 2 versus 1, essentially, for Lightning Man.
Yeah.
You're never going to survive that in an STB1. Whereas, on the other side of the coin for Team Vondle, Trax was actually able to get to relative safety. He was the tank that was essentially isolated, but in the end, survives a lot longer than what Lightning Man was able to do, and then inevitably the power of numbers starts to capitulate.
And the way that he moved as well, it forces actually a lot of the JayRated players into a crossfire. You can see JayRated at the end. There's not much you can really do. The 113, as well as the STB on the side of the Von Stars, were able to get into that crossfire position. Once you're in the position where you can set up a crossfire, it's all pretty much easy sweeping from there. Even though the TVP wasn't most effective on the first clip and was isolated away, they just had the tank advantage at the end of the day. They could do whatever they wanted to, and you can see towards the end as well, that's just cheeky from Bales. I don't know what to say about that one.
Look, it was a little bit fun there in the end. But look, JT, yeah, maybe a bit of a troll into poor JT at the end of the day. But look, he probably deserved it. Not this time. But
No, Vondle tried to get the ram in there, didn't quite manage it, unfortunate.
Yeah, and just comes through. I wanted him to try and chase him down. Obviously, it's not going to be possible, but nevertheless, puts them now on match point.
Give it a spin. Hey.
Puts them on match point. So it's a pretty big moment here. Is it possible that the Von Stars are going to come out on top? Because
Absolutely.
they've been looking good. I kind of feel like they got the edge. The crowd seems to be behind them. You know, like I think that's what we're looking at. Kev, you were behind them, right? It's Jordan who's on Team JayRated at the moment.
I did say 4-3, so...
You did say 4-3. Maybe they could bring it back. Maybe we're going to get to our tiebreaker, Jordan.
I suspect we probably will.
That's probably a possibility.
At this point, it's looking like we're just going tit for tat. We're going, okay, well, Von Stars, you guys can win the first round. We'll take the second and continue to follow suit in that respect. I must admit, it's probably not a fun place to be, continuing to have to play catch-up every single round. You feel like, okay, well...
The pressure's on.
Yeah, pressure's on. If we don't win this one, well, essentially we lose the series. So it's going to be something that they're going to have to think about. What are they going to do now moving on to the attack? I feel like attacking side of Cliff does present its own bunch of problems where you have to be the one to decide what do you want to do. Do you try to climb? Do you try to deal with the climb? Do you try to play fast? Do you try to play slow? To be fair, Team JayRated tried to take matters into their own hands on the defense, but it didn't work very nicely for them.
Look, I'm just waiting to see the Strandsvagen come out and just sit someone up the back of the map. We'll have to wait and see if that plays out. If you're just joining us, it's the ANZPL Season 2 Grand Finals. We're live from Fortress, Melbourne. The Bulldogs are going to be coming up soon. We'll see how they're going to go up against the Sentinels. The Sentinels obviously looking for that back-to-back championship, which would be a pretty big thing to do, though. We're on land here. It's a big deal. Everyone's here, and it's the first time we've had an opportunity to do that. But right now, we're back to Cliff. It's our show match. JayRated up against Vondle. The Von Stars right now on match point 3-2. If the J-Stars can pick this one up, it'll be 3 apiece. We'll go to one final battle. Fingers crossed.
Well, can the Von Stars end it here and now on Cliff, or will we, of course, be going through to that tiebreaker? We're about to find out. A TVP out on both sides. Double 277 though for the J-Stars, as opposed to a double 113 for the Von Stars. And there's a batch out in STB to round out both of the rosters. So 2 very, very similar team compositions. Question is going to be, who is going to use theirs better?
I mean, Vondle's just being set up for bait at the moment. Now the 113s are pushing out, being spotted out, but the batch out not really taking too many shots, just making one in. What is that snapshot coming in? What is that? Full on the move from the 113. Tags up the bat chat once, and the TVP and bat chat just lying in wait right now, just waiting to see if they can do anything.
Well, surely you're dumping over right now.
You have to get rid of Vondle.
They recognize it as well. The 277s are going to be the ones leading the charge right now. It is Lightning Man that's putting a lot of the damage in, but he does need the backup from those heavy tanks. Where are these shots going right now? How is he still alive? Vondle surely has to die. JayRated goes for the ram, but there's no funny business involved here. It is going to end up being Saxon to finish it off with a shot from the 277. But with that said, TVP of CJ has arrived to dump a clip into the STB1. It could well end up being a 1-for-1 trade for the J-Stars, and it puts them in a bit of an awkward position.
I mean, JT trying to get the flank across, but you can see Bale's just reading him like an absolute book at the moment on Cliff. He's just reading this to perfection. He understands the rotations. I mean, TVP is going to come across, and of course the TVP is going to get the clip off. Now JT is going to come forward as well, try to get the clip into Bales, who's got 2 shots left. 113's not really coming back to assist.
Yeah,
I mean, Bales should be able to get one more in, and he's going to miss that one, so a bit of revenge.
Yep.
JT is going to start clipping out. 113s as well, going to be clapped upon by the 277s. They got the numbers. TVP needs to come into the fight. Both TVPs. But you have to say this does favour J-Stars at the moment.
It certainly does. They've got the numbers on the field. The bat chat is on reload, so we can consider this a 3-on-3 right now. Party in the TVP for the blue team is being able to pump damage out, but so far, so good for the Von Stars. They trade 1 for 0 and equalize it back at 3 apiece. My question is going to be, how much does that bat chat reload affect the rest of this game? I think that's going to be the difference maker. If JT can get a clean bat chat load out here, he'll be fine, and the J-Stars will be fine. But if not, if he gets blown up maybe by the TVP, by CJ on the Von Stars, then there could be problems.
I think they might just be going for it, because I think JT is going to be calling it and just going, hang on a second, one of these auto reloaders are going to go for a bit of a rotational play right now. He's just holding firm.
JayRated did just get spotted.
CJ versus JayRated here, but oh my goodness, CJ's managed to spot out that bat chat rotating from JT. Oh my goodness, now a one-shot bat chat's never going to be effective, but he's still able to get shots in, cleaning up a couple of these 113s as well. Very cheeky stuff coming out. And unfortunately, I think this is it from that 113 as well. Good focus fire leaves CJ all by himself. Yeah. Surely this is tied up 1 apiece.
JayRated doing exactly what he needs to be doing. He's leading that charge, being the one in the front, knows that he's got the HP. Now you need to chase down CJ in the TVP. I mean, it is a clutchable scenario for him. If he comes off this reload, if he dispatches of the bat chat, if he dispatches of the TVP, which he can do in this one clip, maybe then he can outplay JayRated, who's in a 277, a bit of a slower tank. But I'm not so sure. The TVP can make this one happen. There's a climb coming out from JT. I'm a bit surprised the party's being so aggressive right now. Surely has to be aware that the reload has come across from CJ. Here we go. This is looking much better. They're sending JayRated forward first, but he's swindled them, Kev. He's actually swindled them. He's gotten around behind. This might actually be huge.
He's spotted out.
Finally been spotted, but Party's not looking in the right direction. Well, it's a 1-for-1 trade in terms of the damage. Can't be firing shots, though, into JayRated. Doesn't have enough damage in the clip.
Ignite!
Maybe he does. The Ignite, and we're back again on Cliff. It's a 1v1 for JT. Surely not. Surely you can't lose another one.
No, he's got the angle. Surely not, JT! Oh, he doesn't have the gun depression. And he's on some soapy rocks at the moment. He's slipping. He's slipping at the moment.
No.
Oh, no! He's come off the cliff! How has this happened?
Not like
CJ.
this. Not again. You're like, surely the second time around can't be worse than the first time that it happened.
I would be kicking that guy off my team right now. If I was JayRated, I'd be looking at this guy going, hey, when you're supposed to be a pro player, like, I knew a guy that like played at like some grand final, some like global World of Tanks competition at one point, and you're pulling that off. Come on, man. Kick him off the team. I'll get in there.
Just
I'll probably
sub
do a
him
better
out.
job.
Just sub him out at this point. How? I want to say what an impressive 1v3 win there, though, right? And the thing that we miss out of all of that is that the Von Stars are on 4 points.
They are.
And they come out, they're guaranteed the champions. And what a way to do it. What a way to win it. In the 1v3, on the defensive side, we're like, well, the only way he really probably wins this is if he runs away. Just got to get rid of the fast tanks. And then somehow, JayRated gets lit on fire and it's GG.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of bad luck, to be fair, for the J-Stars. The fact that he does get lit on fire leaves him obviously dead as opposed to a one shot away from HP. If the 277 is still alive, there's no way CJ survives here. But
That
at
ignite.
the end of the day, that ignite is absolutely huge. And somehow, JT makes an absolute meal of it. Now, granted, it's not easy. It's actually not easy going down that cliff. But he's really cooked it. I mean, to be fair, he is wearing a team efficiency jersey, and we know how infamous they were for plays like that on cliff. So I suppose still manages to ring true here in ANZPL.
I'm amazed any of the team efficiency guys still get on teams these days after how they went back in the day. But here they are. And look, bringing out the good games. That's what it's all about, entertainment. Let's be real. So you got to give it to them. Give it to Team Vondle, though, because they're the winners so far. I think we're going to get to see the last map anyway, right? But that was a pretty epic way to win it. I was like, maybe they're just going to put this out here and let us go to 3 apiece. But I think that was a better ending.
Yeah, I mean, you can't write a better script. CJ manages to swindle his way into Iceland in a couple of duels, which normally you can't with its EVP. Gets the first kill onto the dangerous target. You think JayRated's done enough. He's got the snapshot. Excellent. That's going to put more pressure on the TVP. And then he ignites JayRated.
It was like, there's no way the J-Stars lose from here until they did. And never mind. Now we head to Ruinberg. This would normally be our tiebreaker if we got to this point. So it's only going to be a single battle. And they've got to work out who picks side. I'm not sure if we're using the usual. If this were the grand final, later on tonight we got to this point, we would pick the team who had the fastest attacking side win. And they would get to pick their side. Usually, Kev, you would pick the defensive side for most maps, but that's not always the case.
I'd say you'd probably favour the defensive side for Roenberg. I do talk about it being a bit of a coin flip. It's less coin flippy. There's ways that you can set up on the defensive side, but similarly, there's a good way on the attack that you can break things down as well. So, looking forward to this one. Obviously, a bit of pride on the line right now for the side of the J Stars.
Yeah.
The
I'm
Von
looking
Stars are
forward
one.
to a bunker strat, Jordan.
Okay.
Every time we see it, it fails. But surely the
Yeah.
10th time's the charm, right?
We did see a bunker strat in the last show match that
Yeah.
they played. I think it was the CCs that tried it against the Ouija's, and that was one of the only rounds that the Ouija's actually won.
That they won, yeah.
So I wouldn't be recommending the bunker strat. I think it is a little bit more viable in the 7v7 format because you have extra tanks to play with. You don't feel as bad maybe sacrificing one for the sake of setting up that bunker. But when it's a 5v5 and you throw away a tank, it's a huge deal.
Why don't you just get 2 E100s,
Okay.
2 mouse, and a manticore? You sit that manticore right in the middle
Yeah,
there.
but I feel like you can still get the resets. There's HE shells, that kind of stuff. It's not...
But you just completely hide the tank away. Because
Easier
normally,
said than done.
Normally, most people just use 2 tanks. And it's like you can't build a bunker strat around that. You have to commit everything to it. And look, at the end of the day, you have to focus fire an E100, you have to focus fire a mouse. How much HP do you have to go through before you're thinking about a manticore that's in the middle of everything?
Sure.
Don't even worry about watching the flank. Just get everything onto the cap.
I don't buy it. We're not going to see it.
We're not. No, we're not. But we can always hope. We're seeing the players on stage. The reality is we're having a bit of fun here. I know, a bit of banter, but it's great to see these guys up on stage. They've been a core part of the community for so long. And it's been such a great season of ANZPL. So it's fantastic to see so many of these players up on stage playing with Vondle and JayRated. To be fair, this has actually been a pretty good show match. Wasn't an absolute wipeout what we just saw between the Ouija's and the CCs last week.
You know what?
Yes.
Next season,
Yeah.
I'm going to propose this for the show match.
Okay.
Casters versus CCs and the pro players commentating. I feel like that would be an absolute banger.
It's going to be an awful game, but at least they'll know what we're getting wrong.
Oh, I tell you what we've gotten wrong here, Ben. There is a lot going wrong. There is so much going wrong with the composition that the Von Stars have brought out here. It is disgusting. I hate it. It's awful. Kev, what do you think?
If they hit all their shots, it's going to be fantastic. You pen with the FV, you unload your entire clip of HE from the Foch B, you then pen the Jagdpanzer. I know Jimmy loves the Jagdpanzer out there in the crowd. E4 as well.
Infamous.
Oh my goodness. The amount of times I've had someone go to me, dude, trust me on this E4. I've got a sick position for it. No, you don't.
No, you don't. The E4 is not a good tank.
It's all right, but definitely it's made out of Swiss cheese in some parts.
What is he doing? Come on, drive.
JT.
Ooh. Missed. That was a big boom for nothing, Kev.
But the badge is here. Boing.
The Foch B cops a shot in response. I feel like the J-Stars right now are maybe a little bit confused. Okay, you see this kind of composition, you go, what's going on here? Number 3 Vondle fan, Slayer, need to be hitting those.
It's pretty difficult in the FV. But look, I don't think this is going to be completely doable. Unfortunately, I think the entire goal is that you try to take a tank out before you can really get in a favorable position. But Saxon's just going to be chilling out right now, the 277, firing a few shots, spotting a couple of angles.
Yeah, that bleed is certainly starting to come into effect. The J-Stars are looking a lot more confident against this team composition than they were against some of the others that we saw, especially on Cliff. I think the problem for me right now for the Von Stars roster is it doesn't really feel like they have any agency, you know? It's great to have all these tanks that can do a lot of damage and make a big boom, but they can't spot anything. They can't see anything, Kev.
And they're on the attack.
Exactly. So how are they going to do damage? You can't shoot what you can't see unless you blind fire.
Yeah.
But
just hit your blind shots, Law.
okay.
It's an easy case, isn't it?
Easier said than done, I dare say.
Potentially.
Well, the Von Stars, what do they do? What can they do right now? What is the option? Maybe you have to send that Badger just driving forward, get it onto the 2 flag, see if the JPZ E100 can get a big damaging shot straight through, set up the 4005 for, I mean, are you even going to one-shot any of these tanks? Maybe you can. Not sure about this one from old mate JT.
He really
I feel like
wants to take the fight.
He's playing a bit like he was last round on Cliff. Has managed to cross. But he's out in no man's land. He's on 433 HP in an AMX 50B. Can't be having that.
He should be able to get back to safety, though. Rotation actually coming out from the FV 4005. Don't know if that's going to be beneficial at all. Might be tempted going towards maybe the 1 flag, see if we can spot out the 277, try to get shots in, but it's so difficult. 277 just goes hold down.
That's exactly what he should be doing at this point. The J-Stars know they're on the defense. They know that they don't have to be doing anything. They know that there is no recourse. There's no real ability for the Von Stars to be proactive because as soon as they are getting spotted and they are getting farmed. And that is what CJ is finding out right now. Driving forward in that Badger. Where does he go? Where can he go? There's angles all over the place. 478 right into the side. And he's alive on 44 HP, but he won't be for too much longer. And so far, he's barely spotted anyone. Finally, he gets a bit of info as to where Party is hiding in that 50B, but it's not really helping anyone out.
They finally spot out Saxton, and unfortunately E4 just bounces straight off the turret armor. Might have needed that alpha, but at the end, the spotting Badger is going to be put down. The Foch B a little bit too low as well. It's going to go down, as a matter of fact. So, yes, the Von Stars still have tanks that can do damage, but there's nothing spotting for them now, and that's a big problem.
That's been the problem this entire game so far. The J-Stars are not giving them anything. They're not taking this any less seriously.
JayRated. JayRated, you don't want to be peeking that angle. Get away.
Maybe he does.
Just wants to go for damage.
He's a maniac. Look at that face.
Well, E4's dead. Should be dead anyway. It's 1 shot.
Surely you just load HE and drive at the 4005.
He's got AP loaded.
I know.
Why is he loading so many heat rounds? That's weird. Anyway.
It's because he's hot. 30 HP for the Super Conqueror. I mean, this could still go wrong for the J-Stars. Look, their HP's not that fantastic. 1 or 2 good shots through here could be a big difference maker. And that's a relatively small one by comparison. 822 damage. Vondle is now going to be on reload for the next 13 seconds, and he's in all sorts of problems, trying to side scrape as best he can. In the meanwhile, the 50B of JT finds another kill. 1 minute and 28 seconds left on the clock here for the Von Stars, but I don't know that they're even going to last that long, Kevin.
Yeah, JayRated is just going to be playing around.
That's it. That's the HE shell.
Yep. Is FE going to... Hang on, is JayRated just trying to get the FE to blow himself up with a Hesh round?
Let's see. Oh, he actually fires first. Never mind. And in the end, Slayer can't pull it off for the Von Stars. A 4-3 victory over the J Stars. That's the end of the show match. And Team Vondle does pick up the victory, if not the tiebreaker round win.
Yeah. Look,
which is weird. But
who would have thought, Jordan, right? The game's called World of Tanks.
Right.
So surely a team of tank destroyers cannot lose.
that's what one would think.
But apparently not the case, getting absolutely demolished, but throwing a bit of fun out there. And Team Vondle coming out on top 4-3, as you just said. So big congrats to both of these teams, to JayRated and to Vondle and everyone up on stage. Congrats to them, very much appreciate it. Bit of fun, enjoyed our time. But look, at least we kind of went all the way to the end, Kev, even if we had the 4 before we had the 3 to match with the 4. Again, I don't think I would have ended it any other way than JT driving off cliff.
I feel like by our powers combined, Kev, we actually got the correct prediction as well. I predicted 4-3. You predicted for Team Vondle. So we combined those. It was a 4-3 win for the Team Vondle.
So you're both kind of wrong.
So we're both kind of right, is basically what I'm saying.
Right, no.
But I was more right.
You were more right.
I was more right.
I mean, I got the score.
I got the victory at the end of the day.
Look at JT in there. He's getting up there. He's getting excited. So I don't know how well he did in this game. Who was our top scorer? I'm not sure. Where's our number 1 J fan? That's JT up there, right, in the AMX 50B.
Correct.
So
50Bs were JT and Party. Obviously, JayRated in the 277. And then Saxon in the other 277. And Lightning Man in the Super Conqueror. So I feel like it was a nice sort of cohesive team unit there for the JayRated roster. But maybe they just needed a little bit more scrim time, a little bit more prac time, because it didn't quite come together on the day.
No, it didn't work out for them this time. I don't think we're going to see these 5 guys back together for Season 3 when we get there. Like, I don't think that's going to play out. I don't think they're going to be a team. No surprise there. But turned out well on the day. Good little show match. Certainly better than last week.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot closer. Wasn't that one-sided. Kept us to our toes. Cliff, once again, an absolute classic. I think we often talk about show matches maybe not being memorable, but that Cliff, I think that's always going to be in the memory of some people over here. Definitely matching, I would say, some moments from the semi-finals.
Cliff actually becoming one of my favourite maps, by the way, Offish Guy.
It's always been one of my favourites, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been a map that we've seen around a lot. It's been here forever. It's one that provides a lot of options and provides a lot of exciting games. So I think it's here to stay. I'm really looking forward to seeing a bit of Prokhorovka in that grand final as well. Obviously, we didn't get to see that here in the show match, but for me, Cliff and Prokhorovka are almost like the 2 quintessential maps alongside Himmelsdorf. Those are the 3 where you kind of get a bit of everything. If you watch those 3, it's like the trifecta of the best maps.
Look, no Muravanka in there, Kev. My favourite map. Your least favourite map, maybe. But we're going to see a few interesting ones tonight. And I like how when we get to this essentially best of 7 format, we do get, the map picks and map bans coming through and how that plays out. And it really, to me, does change up the meta quite different from the regular season.
No, 100%, because, I mean, regular season, you only play 2 maps. It doesn't really matter if there's a victory or loss, but now there's more agency. We always talk about agency. If you have to get to that tiebreaker, you want that side selection. If you want to win an extra $5,000, why wouldn't you try to make sure that you get your favorite side when it comes to that tiebreaker? So that comes down to your attack time, as far as I'm aware. So you need to make a bit of a move. You can't just wait for your enemy to capitulate. You're going to have to start making those steps to taking a fast victory. And that might come into play when we see in the grand finals.
And we saw that last week, or in the semi-finals, that it came down to a crazy result on Cliff and the fact that one of those attacking sides was just so much faster.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that was a Muravanka, especially for the tiebreaker map, really made that even more egregious. And the fact that the Sydney Scorpions were able to, were not able to have the faster attacking side, and it was the Sentinels that did have the faster attacking side, I felt gave them such a huge advantage going into that tiebreaker map. So, look, is it likely that we're going to get all the way to a tiebreaker map here in the grand final? I suppose we have to sort of wait and see. But yeah, if it does come down to that, I'm hoping that the tiebreaker map's going to be something like maybe Himmelsdorf would probably be a good choice. I feel like you've got equal opportunities on the attack and on the defense, regardless of how that sort of plays out. But obviously, it's not going to be Muravanka. We know that's part of the map pool. So we can, bless up for that one, Kev.
We'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves so far. Our show match is over. Unfortunately, the J Stars falling just short of the Von Stars. Team Vondle coming out on top. And I think, to be fair, that's what I would expect of the amount of tanks Vondle plays. I think that's all he does play. He should be good by now when he's not driving down the center of the screen. You're playing along at home. Giveaway still tonight thanks to HyperX and Republic of Gamers. Type HyperX in chat or Republic of Gamers in chat on Twitch to enter that giveaway. And still a final opportunity to enter our monitor giveaway as well tonight. !ROG in chat for the details on how to win that one. It's your last chance. I think 32-inch, 144 hertz from Republic of Gamers. I honestly, Kev, best monitor play tanks on, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, it is a case of you need to see everything that's going on in the battlefield. You need to have a good refresh rate. So, look, free stuff is good stuff. I think that's what one of the players would always say. So if you want to have some free stuff, get yourself maybe a monitor upgrade, go for it.
Crowd starting to build up here as well, Jordan. So I think a few more people filing in now. They know the grand final's coming through. And the atmosphere is getting pretty good. You've had a chance to catch up with a lot of people so far in the last 24 hours. It's been good. I know you were a big Team Efficiency fan back in the day, and a lot of those guys here this weekend.
I'm not sure if I was a Team Efficiency fan or if Team Efficiency was a fan of me. That might be the real way that this panned on out, Ben. I think there's a lot more catching up that we're going to have to do in just a second. I know we're going to get ready for this grand final. I'm really looking forward to that. But it is a great atmosphere here in the Alienware Arena with obviously Fortress Melbourne being able to put this on. And it's great to sort of be back involved with World of Tanks because it did feel like, we had a bit of a slow down period for World of Tanks, but it's picking right back up again. So I'm really looking forward to this grand final.
Kev, you've had a chance to catch up so far. I know you know a bunch of the Tanks community. What's been your highlight of the last 24 hours?
I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's just too many moments, to be honest.
You're loving it. Living the dream. Well, we won't have to wait much longer. We're going to go to a very quick break, but when we come back, it is our grand final. The Brisbane Bulldogs up against the Sydney Sentinels live from Fortress Melbourne. We'll be back right after this. Look, what's the point of a bunker if you can just roll through the back door? It doesn't really work very well if you can't cover all the sides. And the CCs, well, yeah, this bunker strat is going about as well as Elfish Guy on the cooking grind. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I want to eat this meal.
Wait, hang on a second. Can they actually get the AMX 13105 at the moment? Because the IS7's too low down. There should be, they have an E100, right? So Vondle, what he needs to do is, okay, there you go. I was about to say, it's like, he's the one that has to get the reset if the AMX wasn't hidden. Or you just load HE and just try to fire around it. So Ravi looks like he's going to have absolute fun. Surrounded by 3 heavy tanks.
So this will be where we start to see the CCs have a bit more of an impact. Who's watching the backside? That's the real question. If it's the Type 5, Ziggy could be in trouble, but it appears it's not. He hasn't even taken any damage yet. No one's looking. He has, well, one more shot left in the clip here. And gets that one through onto the Type 5, I think, in the end there. So nicely done. CC's coming away with the advantage. Napalmer taking the peak with his autoloader now, and it's a 4-on-4 HP lead for the defenders.
TVP's dead though, can't get out of there with the bat chats surely pushing onto him. So you can see, JayRated not going to be assisted by Vondle over there in time. So the bat chat's not working in tandem at the moment. And now the ST2s, now they can push in. Come on, someone load up a double shot. You can't do this. You can't bring these tanks and not double shot someone. Come on, Ravi. Yes, there it is.
Oh, yes, he's got it. He's done it. And Stewie slides the final shot through. Maticus now will fear the pain from Napalmer. Yeah, well, this will be where the autoloaders really shine. Napalmer, Stewie, Ravi, they're all getting in there. One more shot for the remaining TVP. Not going to be enough to finish anyone off, but Maticus does eat that one. And Ziggy will need to start chiming in with a bit as well, being the non-auto loader. Should be able to farm up a bit of damage onto Vondle here. At least one more shot needs to connect. And Vondle Might even now get stuck in a bad position where he cops a couple more. Ziggy does manage to slide one more through.
Woo.
I don't know if Vondle can even get away. Can he? Just up onto the ridge now. The shot goes wide. And Vondle will survive with 2 shots left in the clip.
Oh, Maticus.
See Napalm up there chasing him down as well. But yeah, Maticus in a bit of a difficult spot. He's probably reviewing Vondle's performance, filling in some spreadsheets, replying to emails, banning people in chat. All of the useful things you can do when you're playing as a tank destroyer.
Yeah, pretty much. You could have been Artie there as well. I actually think this strategy is OP against a team that doesn't know how to play, and I guess in this instance, the CCs being a team that doesn't scrim, doesn't play together, probably doesn't know how to break this strategy. So we'll see if that STRV can overcome the damage that has been dealt with Maticus going down. It is actually a fairly hefty HP lead for the CCs at the moment, so they're doing a good job of juggling the aggro, but my question is, how do they break the STRV's position?
Well, JayRated is just on an excursion at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't like this excursion though, because
That's what I was going to say.
this is an excursion back into the garage. This is like, you do this and you just go, oh, but I'm just trying to find where the Arnie is, but Stewie JP's wants to...
Where's he going? Wait, look at where you're driving. There's a rock there.
Vondle, get out of the water.
Drown him,
Jay,
mate.
get out of the water, mate.
I'm not letting JayRated drive me anywhere in Melbourne. I'm going to be taking certified Ubers and taxis only.
They are capturing the point, though. And they're about to put 3 on with Jay rolling through.
Oh.
5 seconds on the clock and the reset onto Vondle. Should have seen it coming.
Yeah, Rabbi was behind. He had a reset every day of the week. Want to see Stewie get one more shot out here before he dies. Roll around the corner. Can he do it? Oh, never mind. The 4 below 5 from over the top. Maticus. Oh, no.
That's a pen.
Here we go. Napalm in the Conqueror could actually have a huge shot here as well.
This is literally the flying V, by the way.
Oh,
They're doing
Rabbi's
the
in trouble.
flying V.
Nah, he's fine. They missed all their shots. Oh, guys, you guys are BBRs. How are you missing your shots?
They're going to run into each other if they're not careful. Oh, Cynical is really doing them dirty at the moment. Driving in front of everyone.
There
but
it
they have
is,
managed to get
finally.
the opening. 1 for 1, I should say. 2 tanks down. 4005 for focus of fire. Good shot in from the Super
Oh my
Conqueror
goodness.
gun carriage. It's not just a Conqueror gun carriage. It's a Super Conqueror gun carriage when Napalm tries to drive it. They might actually win. I think they might actually win.
15
17
seconds.
Does he get there? Does he find the angle? I think he might just if he goes up on the ridge here. There looks like a reset or someone's come off the cap. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter
Bales had
either
to,
way.
yeah.
30 seconds. There's a shot through onto Bales. Knight probably doesn't get to fire one more here though. So it'll be down to Tintac who can't seem to find the angle.
But Aussie's over here. Aussie can get the reset right now. 3 seconds. Surely he can get the reset. He's going to have to rely on the Kranwagen snapshotting it. He's not going to get there in time, is he? He does manage to get the shot, but the cap base is it's already been capped, so that's going to be a GG from there. Now out comes the rest of the clip. Should have enough hammer rack as well. And there you have it, Bales coming out as well. The clip potential of the bat chat so strong that, and even though this tier 100 LT is going to be here from Russian, he's going to try and sting them. Bales doesn't even care if there's going to be a sting coming out from a tier 100 LT. There's 2 bat chats you need to find. Bales still has 2 in the magazine. The 277 can back up the Kranwagen, and this SDB on Knight is not in the fight right now to assist with the Kranwagen.
Doing his best to keep that damage pumping on through. 92 HP for Artie Noob, who just comes off the reload right now. Might be able to pose some kind of a defense, but Russian eventually is going to be overwhelmed with it with the full clip
Needs to
loaded.
hit it.
Missed a shot. Is that enough of an opening? No, it's not enough
Track.
for Russian.
And I think
Will
the
inevitably
277
fall.
helped as well, Jordan. I think Mary Turnip managed to land a shot at distance, or even the Kranwagen as well, which is huge. This has gone terribly wrong for the Scorpions. Mary Turnip just needs to be cautious, needs to play together with 2+2. You don't want to separate right now as the heavies.
Oh, they've already separated in the 113.
Oh,
Not quite going to
no.
be nimble enough to dance around with the 50Bs. Mary Turnip is going to die. And that opens up the door for an escape for the 50Bs. But where are they going? Why did they go that way? Why didn't they go up the hill?
They're split at the moment, and 2+2 means that Russian's got the right idea, but Knight's going to be spotted out. They know where he is. Bells comes across, and oh my goodness, 4 HP on Rush, and he gets away with just a sliver of HP.
2+2's got to chase him.
30 seconds. He's not going to catch up?
He's got to leave that other 50B to Bales. Bales has to catch Knight. Bales can't even kill Knight unless he gets 2 high rolls, or a high roll and a decent roll.
Oh, he's missed, so he has to go instant in the clip.
How have they lost this?
Big mistake from the 277 and 113. They shouldn't have split up there. Like, that's your principles there, man. You can't individually go fight a double 50B. So, Scorpions do manage to take this one. All they need to do is survive, and survive they will. But that should have been Matilda's round every single day. I'm very curious on what is going on over here right now, why they're doing this.
Because they want to kill. They have the bloodlust.
It's not, but you got to look at it's like the potential of things, right? You have to look at it and go, what's the percentage play? You don't want to be having Whippet on low HP. I mean, sure, you're pressuring Knight right now, but Whippet is now down to a one-shottable point. Aussie's going to be focused down eventually, so all right, Matildas will surely convert on the back of this. Bells is reloading, but Aussie is now a one-shot. So, and that fight over there on the other side should surely favor Matildas at the end of the day as well. This is now a very dire scenario for Scorpions where they're pushing with 2 mice.
Well, they're going to have to do it, aren't they? Onto the Super Conqueror seems to be the focus so far. That 53 does still have some shots left in the clip. Very Turnip, not prepared to fire them just yet. Actually, angles around the corner, looking perhaps to help out. Whippet, no, decides to come back and deal with the mouse. JT circling around, won't have enough damage to dispatch of the 50p. And ends up giving up his own life, running away from Whippet. This is a messy, messy fight from the Scorpions. But they have gotten rid of Saxon at least.
The problem is, though, there's down so many tanks, and mice just don't have, the mouses just don't have DPM. The Bad Chat's going to come off reload as well. This is just the beginning of the end at the moment for the Scorpions. Noob is still healthy, so sure. I mean, Mary Turnip's going to come across the fight, but has to use the med kit. Can Mary Turnip get the final killing blow in? He's going to fall away. They're just going to allow Noob and Whippet to do the hard yards right now. And this is it. It's Matilda's going to take it.
This was an important battle. We needed a victory. The enemy was more experienced. But we had 2 aces up our sleeve. The K91PT is a Tier 9 tank destroyer. It looks bellicose. It strikes the target hard. Its typical Soviet accuracy is compensated for by insane damage per minute. With a gun rammer, improved ventilation, and brothers in arms, it's even more effective. He went to the front line, to the thick of the action. His allies kept up. So did the enemy. A good old positional skirmish was about to happen. And our hero was ready. Here we go. The K91PT systematically gnaws 390 HP off of enemy vehicles. And they sure don't like it. There are 2 reasons for it, apart from the obvious. First, the opponents don't understand what the thing is. Second, they don't know where to penetrate this beast. The K91PT's hull might look strange, but it has its use. The effective armor at the spot where a turret should be is 340 millimeters. It's enough for this TD just to hide its lower hull and make enemies whine in despair. That's exactly what our hero in the K91 did. Not that he likes listening to the whining, he rather loves winning. Helpless opponents are a great sight on the battlefield. Although, it's hard to enjoy such a sight when your allies are exploding like popcorn. However, the K91PT had a partner in this battle. But they didn't know each other yet. Meet the Kunze Panzer. It has a maximum speed, of 65 kilometers an hour with a specific power of 21 horsepower per ton. Its gun delivers 390 damage per shot, and it has one of the best armor penetration values of all Tier 9 medium tanks, 268 millimeters. You don't want to mess with this guy. It pounces on enemies quickly and mercilessly. The important thing is that they don't look at him, and it's not because he's shy. It's just because he traded his armor for his innate audacity. A situational Kunze-Panzer. Sounds like a diagnosis. But jokes aside, the K-91 is in trouble. Another wave of the enemies is coming at the Soviet. And it doesn't look like the prelude to a positional fight. More like a rapid advance. What's more typical than outmaneuvering a lone TD in a light tank, right? The enemy is already imagining circling around the poor K-91. Oh, it's a pity. It's a pity that the enemy doesn't know something about this Soviet. The K-91 PT has excellent dynamics. Its top speed is 52 kilometers an hour with 20 horsepower per ton of specific power. Throw in a turbocharger for more vigor. Such a pairing makes this TD truly agile. And regarding its maneuverability, it doesn't just traverse well, it does it better than the E-25. Long story short, you can't outmaneuver it. And our friend in the light tank has already realized it. The problem is that it wasn't alone. The enemy sent in the wheeled tank and pricked up their guns. But the K-91 is also not alone anymore. This hybrid of the STB and STRV has a siege mode mechanic. 2 seconds apiece, and its mood changes completely. Its engine power and speed decrease, while its reload time increases. But its gun depression is now 15 degrees, accuracy is 0.3, and aiming time is 1.8 seconds. Precisely what's needed now. The Kunze-Panzer made it in time. Its appearance caught the opponents off guard. They started making mistakes. The K-91 PT's armor proved its class once again, and it was almost impossible to hit the German playing from the hull down position. One by one, the opponents rolled out and were hit twice. The K-91 masterfully deflected shells, and the Kunze-Panzer was everywhere. It changed position while peeking out from behind the hills. Minus 15 degrees is an excellent way of surprising the enemy. And although our heroes were pretty damaged, they came out victorious. Together, among the piles of burnt hulls, they were preparing for the main dish. This is who they were here for. The FV4005 is an angry and unprincipled monster. He buys shells on the black market and has no mercy for anyone. There are rumors he even edged out his brother back in the day, just to become the boss. And of course, he wasn't alone. What self-respecting villain travels without his minions? Our heroes needed to devise a plan. A TD and an MT. 2 types, 2 vehicles, 2 styles. One spots, the other fires. Although, any mistake by the Kunze-Panzer when scouting could lead to its destruction, and the K-91 PT's accuracy could let them both down. And that meant it was time to surprise. The Kunze-Panzer occupies a position, enters siege mode, and is ready to play as a TD. The K-91 PT goes scouting. Here they are, the opponents. Now it's time for the final clash. The K-91 PT is a Soviet tank destroyer with excellent dynamics and frontal armor. The Panzer is a German medium tank with 2 play modes. A TD that can play like an MT, and an MT that can be a TD. Classical and underground, coherent and unpredictable, the winner and the winner.
They don't feel like working. Overthinking, I don't mean to let the pain and hurting. I was main stage with Tiny at a festival. Realities of practice less than 20.
Surely should be able to land a shot. No, it goes into the gun. Geordie is going to take a single shot. It's up to Whippet just to stay alive at the moment. Geordie should be able to get this kill eventually. Oh, no, another bad shot. Rerendi, what is he doing at the moment? He's just built different at this stage. A lot of HP. Yeah, a lot of HP going in the favor of Rerendi at the moment. Geordie, another one.
We've got 10 seconds left on the cap. The 50Bs now need to force their way on.
Man, Iron Guard.
Wymo needs to.
Oh, Wymo. I think it's going to have to be Wymo here. He seems like the guy that's in position. Doesn't manage to pen that shot. It's down to Iron Guard. Oh, no. Sentinels, don't let it happen again. Oh, dearie me.
This has to be an Ignite shot coming out or something like that. Dongalord doesn't need to pen any of these shots at this stage. Xander's put one into the ground. Wymo's trying to come across, trying to make the difference. 1 second left. All Dongalord needs to do is back out. The kill does come out, but does it come after time?
JS has got his number surely now. Goober actually does get the proxy spot across, and he has decided to get the heck out, but a shot does sneak through from the 50B, and JS now one shot away from getting rid of Goober. What a tracking shot. Oh my word.
The attackers do have control of the hill, for example, oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
That is just not supposed to happen.
An E100 gets the Ignite at that distance, and there is no chance, but Rainbow just burns to death.
Cat's already there.
My
and
gosh.
Dongalord gets absolutely boomed. What a start. JT, this time not in mid, but he's found the line anyway.
That is a disgusting angle from a TVP. I need to look at the replay because I'm taking that. Like, that is actually disgusting.
Well, we will see. It might actually work. If that 4005 can blow up Rainbow in one shot. Oh, there we go. It's happened. It's actually happened.
Burst. He's dead.
Where does the shot come from? Cindy might have the angle here. JT, what's the gun depression looking like? Neither wants to take the initial peek. Neither wants to make the mistake. And there is the siren. Not a whole lot of time left for JT. He's eventually going to have to send it here, but he's the one that's being more mobile. He's the one that's trying to look for this engagement.
Yes.
He hits the shot.
Hello and welcome back. We're live from the Alienware Arena here at Fortress Melbourne for the World of Tanks ANZ PL Season 2 Grand Finals. What an amazing season it has been. What an epic show match we just got. And I honestly think that what we're about to see, this grand final, first time to have these teams on LAN, Kev. It's a huge experience. Great for us, great for the community, great for the players, and I think it's going to be a great game.
Can't wait for it, in all honesty. It's been something I've been waiting for all season right now. We've been hyping up the talk of LAN finals. It's been ages since we've had a live performance like this, and this is really a true test for both teams right now. Tell me who's going to be champions.
Yeah, it gives me some vibes from back in the day. You know, obviously I've been involved in World of Tanks since maybe like 2015, 2016. We used to have all these big events, these LAN events, lots of teams, lots of players, and it slowed down for quite a while after 2017, 2018. I thought, you know, World of Tanks esports, it's probably not coming back, but yet here we are. We've got a LAN final. We've had 2 seasons. We're looking forward to a third. Things are looking great. Things are looking up. So very, very keen to get into this grand final and see what the Sentinels and what the Bulldogs can present for us.
Yeah, it's been a cool season. 8 teams, you know, down from 9 in Season 1. And we said earlier, it really does feel like across the last couple of months, these 8 teams really have started to gel together. It's produced some great games, some great Tanks action, and the 2 teams we're going to see on the stage for the grand finals, we said it earlier, I don't know, was this the 2 teams we thought we were going to see? Perhaps in Season 1 that was the case. Perhaps it might have been the Bulldogs and the Sentinels in Season 1 that we were going to see, but certainly I think a lot of people said maybe it's the Matildas and the Scorpions we're going to see. Not the case. 2 very awesome semi-finals. The Bulldogs coming out looking like an entirely different team. The Sentinels having to reverse sweep from 3-0 down, coming back, winning an epic tiebreaker to get themselves here today. They've flown down. They're on the stage. They're ready. They're prepped. And Kev, you reckon they're nervous?
Oh, I don't think either team's nervous at this stage. I think both teams are going to be very excited to be here. I was talking with, obviously, the Bulldogs. They didn't have the best start to the season. It's been a long time coming for them. They managed to grind their way back, and against the Matildas, we said they had no chance whatsoever. Jordan was so confident, he decided to waste all his channel points, and yet the Bulldogs still on top. It just comes down to Cliff. Every single time, Cliff just seems to be that map that just really brings out a result.
Yeah, Cliff has certainly given us some epic games across the season. Do you agree with what Kev says here? This Bulldogs team, they've come through. They sort of worked their way through the season. What about the Sentinels, right? They came off the back of this as being Season 1 champions, and even for them, there were moments this season where I was like, I'm not sure that they're going to make it through to finals.
Yeah, I think they might have, at some points this season, wondered whether or not they were going to make it through to finals as well. It was a bit of a rougher run through the regular season for Sentinels than it was in Season 1. I think that match against the Conquerors that they did lose was the one that really sticks out in our minds quite a lot. If you take that one out, if you isolate that game away, the rest of the season was actually pretty good, if not acceptable, or maybe even better than that for the Sentinels. So there was that one hiccup, that one little speed bump on the way to the finals, but for all intents and purposes, they've looked like a very, very good team. And now that they're here at the grand finals, they've made it through that semi-final. I think they've kicked themselves into an extra gear, and they've come very, very well prepared. I've seen them all walking around with folders of strats, whatever that may be. Look, to be fair, Bulldogs have got their jerseys or their shirts on as well.
All right, so Bulldogs have shirts.
Yep.
Sentinels have pages of strats.
Yeah, I don't know which one is more valuable on the stage.
Is it swag or strats that comes out on top?
Well, that depends on what you're aiming for out of tonight, I guess, Ben.
Yeah, look, if it were me, I'd want to win. But I don't know if swag's going to get you the power. Though, Kev, 2 weeks ago, you know, when we were looking at the Bulldogs, you can say, well, we know that the Sentinels have all these strats. We've seen their folder. When the Bulldogs were coming through, it was kind of like, I'm not sure that these guys, like, they've been looking better and better every week, but have they gained enough? And then the Bulldogs we saw in the semi-finals was, it looked like they'd had an extra 3 weeks worth of prac between then and the last game we saw them.
It was just mentally different. You can see the individuals are definitely performing on the side of the Bulldogs. And that was something which we hadn't seen before previously. It was a case of maybe there was a couple of teamwork dynamic issues. I mean, at the beginning of the season, like games that come into mind, you think about it was like, yeah, AVP's doing damage at a Super Conqueror, but it's not converting into anything. The players that you think is the linchpins, like your Ravi, for example, maybe even Madhouse with that experience from previous, they weren't really showing up. And then things started turning, right? Dark was a consistent performance, and Madhouse just decided, I can play tanks again.
Yeah, and that's funny for me to see, right? Because like a Madhouse is a name I have known in tanks for a while. He was like 15 when he came and did some stuff for us in tanks back in the day on the desk, and to see him here, and I feel like it took him a while as well to sort of build this up. Jordan, talk us through. We'll see some highlights from the Bulldogs so far this season and their road to playoffs. What have been some of the highlights there for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what Kevin said. I don't think that they started off very well, and incidentally, it's the matchup that they are playing today, which was the first game that they played in the season. It was against the Sentinels. They lost that 3-1, and that was the start to the season that we thought was probably a little bit of an anticlimax for the Bulldogs, who actually looked like they'd made some pretty good roster changes. I thought Madhouse coming in was going to be beneficial for them, which in the long term it was, but initially he looked like he was kind of washed up, to be fair. It took him a little while to get going.
Yep.
He started to go pretty nicely. It sort of felt to me like in the early stages of the season, Dark was really there for them quite a lot when Ravi was in and out and he wasn't always there playing every single game. To me, Dark felt like the player that was having a little bit better of an individual success than what he did in Season 1, and he was a big reason why the Bulldogs were kind of able to start to stabilise, and then you saw people like, for example, as we've said, Madhouse really started to come into their own as the season progressed, and Dark started to take a bit more of a backseat. Soldat Udachi, again, another one of those players that has been a very, very consistent player for the Bulldogs, so I'm expecting him to be an important factor in this matchup today as well. But I like how it sort of started to come together for the Bulldogs. You know, they weren't a team that, at the start of the season, when things started to go wrong for them, capitulated. They kind of worked on things. They had their players really sit down, work hard, make sure they got into the right headspace, and it started working out really, really nicely for the Bulldogs. So that analogy of them peaking at the right time seems to have rung true, in that they peaked in that semi-final against Matildas. They were able to get over the line. They're 4-2, but we have to ask whether or not they've left anything on the table for today.
That's the big one, right? You don't want to peak one game too early, right, Kev? Let's be real, you certainly don't want to peak before the semis and then lose your semi, you don't make it to final. So they're here, but there are certainly questions from me, and I think from Jordan, perhaps from yourself, about what are they going to look like today? What do they look like on stage? How have they prepared? This is the game, right, where teams have had the most time to prepare all season long. Obviously, regular season, you know who you play week in, week out, but you're probably not doing too much work for any particular team until you get to that week, right? And then semi-finals, you have a week to prepare. Same thing. Now you're taking it really seriously. You need to make this work. This time, we've had 2 weeks to prepare for the grand final. And the Sentinels now, as we take a look at them, we talked about their folder of strategies that we've seen up there on the stage, Kev. What was their road to playoffs like?
I agree with Jordan with to some extent, where we're looking at the regular season, you're going, yeah, they drew a lot of the time. They didn't really outright lose too many times outside of Conquerors, obviously having a killer performance that week, especially in Ghost Town as well. But I think the defining moment for the Sentinels is just the tenacity to stay alive. In a lot of series where we count them down and out, where they're down 0-2, even 0-3 when we're looking at the semi-finals, they have the ability just to claw it back. That's when they really dig in, get serious. They've got the caliber of the players. They've got the calling potential to really bring it back, to make sure that they're able to make this finals run. And we're coming to the stage where I'm going, we've made the Sentinels out to sound really bad this entire season. I think ultimately, yes, they're the reigning champions. They're not sitting at the top of the leaderboard, but they managed to make their way to the finals, managed to reverse sweep their way into the finals as well against a very solid Scorpions. Not to take away anything from the teams. If anything, the players elevated since last season.
If you can win from 3-0 down, 0-3 down, whichever way you want to play it, right, and you come back like that against a team like the Scorpions, to me, that says so much about them as a lineup. And I don't know, like, if you can do that, you have that, the capacity as a team to settle the card, essentially, bring it back to where you need to be, and essentially take one battle at a time. Jordan, sometimes that is very, very hard to do.
Yeah, I think it's exactly right what Kevin was touching on there. Tenacity is the word that I would throw out for the Sentinels as well. We saw it during the regular season against Scorpions. They were down 0-2. They came back and drew that 2-2. They were down 0-2 against the Matildas. They went on to draw that one 2-2, and so they're at least getting a point out of these games. The only instance where that didn't ring true was actually that game against the Conquerors, where things sort of spiraled out of control, and obviously there's the infamous Twitch chat spam coming from that one. But we'll leave that one aside. Even going into the semi-final, up 3-0 for the Scorpions, you thought it was done. But yeah, tenacity, certainly the word that certainly seems to sort of stick in my mind for the Sentinels. And what I really like as well about them is that they have a lot of individuals that can kind of step up in those moments. And I think that's where a lot of their strength comes from. And so, okay, if someone needs to dig deep, if you need to be that guy to dig deep, anyone on that roster can be that guy if they're in the position. Cindy was in that position. He wins that 1v1 and gets them, into a position where actually they can go on to then win that game. It didn't look like it at the time. It looked like they were still in hot water, but hey, they come through with a win, and congratulations to them for getting here and now able to defend their title against the Bulldogs. Is going to be quite an epic match.
Yeah, for sure. And particularly in a 5v5 format, having people on your team, having a team of individuals who any one of them you can expect to stand up and make a difference. For me, that narrative as well that we talked about, it could have been an entirely different story. It could have been, well, the Sentinels are out, and that's the end of the day. Let's go and take a look at our maps now. We can see on the screen we have map bans, and then we have map picks. So, you sort of get a feeling for what these teams are looking at. Himmelsdorf was banned out by the Bulldogs. Ghost Town banned out by the Sentinels. Cliff banned by the Bulldogs. Ruinberg banned by the Sentinels. Then Prokhorovka, Mines are the two picks that come through. Muravanka, and then if we need it for our tiebreaker, Sand River. That's the one where we would only play one battle should we get there. And I know, Kev, Muravanka, the last time we saw that, Muravanka was in that place and it wasn't what you wanted to see. What do you think of Sand River as a tiebreaker should we get there?
Very similar to Muravanka, where you definitely favour the defensive side. The only lenience I give at this point is that I haven't really seen Sentinels play Sand River that much. We've seen Bulldogs, they do like going for that Sand River.
Yeah.
If it does get to that stage, you start getting a bit worried for the Sentinels. Obviously, you have to get there. We're looking way ahead.
We're looking a long way in the future.
There's still two maps to talk about first before that. So,
but it's interesting to me because the Bulldogs did have a good game on Sand River a couple of weeks back. So if we get that far, should we get that far? I don't know. I'm almost favouring the Bulldogs at that point. But as you said, a very long journey before we get there. 6 battles to look at, Jordan. What are your thoughts on the maps that we're seeing?
I mean, it's all very contextual with that final map, isn't it? It depends on how things go. If it's a 3-0 and then it's a 3-0 reverse sweep and you get there, then potentially that makes a difference than if it's a 1-1-1-1-1-1 all the way to the final map. The only thing that I can say for the map pool here is I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Mines coming through. It was a map that was very, very rarely played during the regular season.
Yes.
I can't even remember the last time we saw Mines. Yet Sentinels have gone for that as their first pick. So I can only imagine that they've got something in mind for that. They've been working hard on that map, and it's a bit of a curveball being pulled out here. Prokhorovka, definitely a staple. Muravanka, a staple. We saw that a lot. And Sand River is the tiebreaker. I mean, it's definitely better than what we could have potentially gotten in something like Muravanka, as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, I probably would have preferred to have seen something maybe like a Himmelsdorf as that tiebreaker, but I'll take Sand River.
Well, here we go. We are live from Fortress Melbourne. It's the ANZ PL Season 2 Grand Final for World of Tanks. The Brisbane Bulldogs up against the North Sydney Sentinels, a best of 7, and we kick it all off on Prokhorovka.
Yeah, we're going to find out how things start right here, right now. Sentinels starting off on the defensive side. And Bulldogs obviously on the attack as a result. Double IS-7 on the defense for the Sentinels. Double Super Conqueror. Very, very heavy lineup. But Rainbow is in the customary T100 LT. We have another one of those on the Bulldogs side as well. But a K91 coming out, Kev. I feel like Madhouse might have been watching a few too many of those videos in the break.
I was going to say, he just loves the K91. I don't know why he talks it up, but he has to pull out a pretty solid performance right now. Not a tank that you normally see, especially with the rear mount chassis and the turret. This matchup, I do feel like when you're looking at the map pool overall, you look at maps like Muravanki, you look at maps like Prokhorovka, it's going to come down to a lot of these light tank players. It's going to come down to Dark as well as Rainbow, how they're going to respond, how they're going to take this map control. You can even see Dark's just firing a couple of shots, trying to identify where the position of this Tier 100 LT is going to be. It is going to be a 1-2 line push that's coming out at the moment. Super Conqueror's been spotted out as well. 60 TP can bleed that through the side.
No shots coming through just yet, but Dark making a very, very deep spotting run now. He's going to run into the IS-7s right at the back of the map sooner rather than later. Luckily for him, there isn't that much of a recourse yet for the Sentinels, but Rainbow is working his way through the southern part of the map as well. So while map control is being taken by Bulldogs, there's also map control being taken by the Sentinels.
Yeah, the problem is Ravi's going to be bled out from a crossfire, so he needs to get down. They're going to lose a lot of mid presence as a result. So Dark, you can see, he's communicating a lot of things. He's the LT player.
Yeah.
He needs to be calling what he's seeing, what he's not getting at the moment. And with this setup, you have to suspect where the ISMs are going to be. A double ISM, this is not the first time the Sentinels have run this strat. It seems predictable, it is predictable, but it's still very difficult to get these tanks out of that hold down position.
I mean, that 60 TP definitely taking a couple of shots as well. Ravi down to just above 2k HP. Sentinels, as of yet, haven't taken a lick of damage, so you think about the early nerves here maybe for Bulldogs, a team that, for the most part, or if I'm not incorrect, all of whom have never even played on LAN, are not being able to get any damage out. They're starting to think, okay, time's running out. Maybe we need to start to get something out here. When is that push going to start to come to shove, if that makes sense? And Sentinels may be feeling a little bit more relaxed. They're on the defense. They've got some damage out. They're not seeing much from Bulldogs. They're not feeling any pressure. And I start to feel that pressure mounting for the Bulldogs.
Not necessarily just yet. I do remember a conversation that I had with the Bulldogs. There's a plan that they have in the attack of Prokhorovka. I have to see if it comes into eventuation. Rainbow is going to now get the re-push across. So the counter scout, the counter push for information right now. Soldat should be spotted out pretty soon. No? It's actually going to be Ravi that's going to be spotted out. So exchange a shot. HE is always going to be favorable for the 60 TP. Especially you can get the overmatch, but you can see the T100 LT on the side of Dark. He's now pushing over across to the other side. A push and pull game right now. Really good dance, high pressure.
It certainly is. You can already feel how tense it is, the fact that we haven't really seen any exchanges of damage for the most part this game so far. It's been a good, clean game to start things off in this grand final, but I keep going back to the fact that this is costing time for the Bulldogs and the Sentinels. Well, now they only have to defend for another 3.5 minutes. Finally, some cap pressure starts to come out for the Bulldogs, but I can't imagine they're going to be relying on that. It's just one T100 LT sitting on the cap. A bat chat starting to rotate in behind. That's Joe Atora. But right now there isn't, again, that huge amount of pressure on the Sentinels that's forcing them to really do anything. Rainbow having a bit of a look, seeing where things are. The IS-7's on the push, and now we're starting to get a bit of game starting to get played.
Madhouse does get spotted out at the end, so he's going to get overmatched by the IS-7s if they do manage to get into position. He's still going to be playing that position. It's a very strong one. And just a thing to note as well, over the size of the K91, it actually does manage to reach the 10 degrees of gun depression.
I like this rotation coming in from Joe Atora as well. You're seeing a lot of attention from the Sentinels into mid, into the Super Conqueror, into the 60 TP. That's giving room for Joe Atora to work. If he can get into the A6 position, if he can get up onto that train track, he can sort of dump over, get a lot of damage out into the back of these heavy tanks, but he's having to do it very quickly because right now is the time to strike for the Bulldogs. Sentinels, if they are able to go untouched into this 4-on-2,
here's the problem.
They're going to win.
Here's the problem. They're trying to dump on the 60 TP, but there's going to be the K91 at the back. Focus fire is going to be onto the 60 TP. Darts come off cap. They just need to get the focus fire. Joe Atora is nowhere near the fight at the moment. Ravi is going to go down. Good focus fire on the Sentinels. That's first blood. This K91 as well is going to be tagged down. Roendi, that's a bit of a low roll coming out from the Super Conqueror. Soldat should be able to get the killing blow. Where's the bat chat at the moment is the real question.
Yeah, that is the big question for me. I was talking about Joe Atora, but he's too late. Soldat Udachi is trying his best to fight out, but all you have now to really help that bad chat is a T100 LT. And for Dark, he's not exactly going to be the highest DPM tank. So, I don't know. This one doesn't feel like it's worked out too well for the Bulldogs. I feel like the rotation from the bat chat was just a little bit too slow. Madhouse in the K91 getting spotted out makes his life difficult. He gets taken down, and I don't see much of an answer right now for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Joe's just trying to get as much damage done right now. He actually has managed to hit the ammo rack as Cindy. So Cindy's down to a one-shot. Joe should be able to get underneath the ridge, but he's taken so much damage, and there it is. There's a killing blow, and this is not a winnable scenario now for Bulldogs. There is no way you're going to chew through 4,000 HP, even as a T100 LT. Yeah. Does have actually the gun rammer.
Yeah, but 1 minute and 18 seconds on the clock here, Dark. Can he even get that much damage out? Mathematically speaking, I'm not sure.
And in a worst case scenario, he's up against 2 tanks. There's a good chance that he might bounce a shot here or 2. He's probably going to get spotted as soon as he starts to try and fire shots in here as well. It's just not going to be possible, Kev. Dark's going to try and do his best. He's going to try and put on a show here for us, but the Sentinels, by rights, are going to pick up a victory here on the defensive side of Prokhorovka. So I think Dark knows it. I think he's just going to send it in here, see if he can get a bit of extra damage out. Already done about 1.5k. Not too shabby in a T100 LT, but end of the day, it's all over Red Rover for the Bulldogs, and the Sentinels are going to pick up round 1 on Prokhorovka, going up 1-0 in the grand final.
Nice result there for the Sentinels. For the Bulldogs, their map choice. So attacking side, sometimes you look at it and go, is this going to be a little bit rough? Not able to come through. And not a bad result, I think, there for the Sentinels. They looked pretty good in control. It felt like for a lot of the game, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to that mid-repush that comes out at the end of the day. So normally when you see that cap pressure come out, you see a lot of defensive teams, they get some of the tanks back towards their spawn rails to start to see if they can spot the T100 LT. That's why the Batchat was over in the island to try to get the crossfire out to force the pressure. But you can see they just group up, and that Batchat, we always talk about it, if he's not in the fight, he's just not a threat at all. And that's what eventuated. If that Batchat was in a better position, and I'm not saying this is Joe's fault, it's not his fault at all, Sentinels just read the situation better.
Yep.
They re-pushed into a safer part of the map. K91 got isolated. They realized it was a threat. They got rid of it. And from there, you just really couldn't do much with the Batchat out of the fight. T100 LT, yes, it's a decent tank, but it just doesn't have the DPM to really punch through the super heavies. And the focus fire was just too good from the Sentinels at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of it sort of hinges for me on that rotation of the Batchat. I felt like Joe Atora, he had a window there. If he goes back and looks at that replay, he'll probably say, if I move 30 seconds faster, if he's there on the A6 position right now, he's got shots into Cindy, he's got shots into Wimo, he's got shots into everyone. Wimo, I'm sorry, but we had to put in one there. But yeah, of course, you know, he gets shots into the back line. Imagine the difference that a whole clip from a Batchat could do, or maybe even 4 out of 5 shots. The other question that I have around this setup for Bulldogs was Madhouse in the K91, would he have been better off in a Batchat? Would he have been able to have a bit more of an impact in a tank like that? Because, let's be real, he's been a very, very solid Batchat player this season, and I understand, and I like it sometimes from Madhouse. He likes to pull out these different tanks.
Yeah.
We saw the RHM Panzerwagen on Cliff, you know, being able to pull off that climb in the semi-final. That was a stroke of brilliance. But you do also look at this and sometimes say, well, there are meta tanks for a reason. And the Batchat, in a lot of instances, is going to be a very useful tank, especially on a map like Prokhorovka. So would he have been more impactful in the Batchat? I don't know if I can say that.
He has looked good in the Batchat.
He's definitely very good in the
season,
Batchat.
right? So sometimes you do have to wonder, but they picked the map, they knew what they were coming into, right? So from there, obviously they had a plan. What did you think about the tank selection from the Bulldogs? What, 1 light, 2 medium, 2 heavy? It didn't play out how they were looking for it to.
Because they were looking at how the Sentinels are going to rotate accordingly. Right? This is down to calling at the moment. You're looking at maybe positioning or whatnot.
Yep.
But Rainbow would have looked at that, or even Roendi would have looked at that and gone, hang on a second. The way the K91 is situated is to punish whatever, like, if we split up, this is where the Batchat's going to punish us, this is where this is going to punish us. Rainbow hasn't spotted out the Batchat. It's a fair assumption that the Batchat's gone to the other side of the map. That's why they're grouping up and pushing over mid, getting rid of the K91. They're eliminating the crossfire potential that's going to come out of the Bulldogs. For me, that's a good counter call that's coming out. It's a good counter read that's coming out of the Sentinels at the moment.
Yep.
I don't mind the strat, right? Because there's a clear intention of what they're trying to do. Set up crossfires,
which is
create
half
the cap
battle,
pressure.
I feel sometimes.
It is.
Yep.
And if you're able to call beyond that, you're able to read what's going on, well, that's half the battle won. All you have to do is rely on your execution. You can see for the Sentinels, no problem with execution whatsoever.
Yeah, Sentinels looking good. We said swag or strats, Jordan, going to come through. And the Sentinels, they picked that one up. And opportunity now for them to apply a little bit of pressure. You win the first battle of the grand final. It's good to get one on the board. You win it on your opponent's map choice as well. So coming out here for them now on the attacking side, if they can go 2-0 up here, that puts them obviously in a massive advantage heading into their own map choice.
I mean, granted, yes, a 2-0 on the first map would be a big deal, but I think it's even more important when you look at the context of the rest of the map pool. Mines and Muravanka, the next 2 maps, have traditionally been very much 1-1 kind of maps.
Yep.
And the fact that Sentinels have chosen Mines, Bulldogs, I don't really recall seeing them play a whole lot of Mines. I feel like there's a very good opportunity for Sentinels to 2-0 on Mines. If not, at the very least, get a 1-1. Muravanka, we can almost 100% say is going to be a 1-1. It's been that 1-1 map for the entire season. So you get a 2-0 here, you 1-1 Mines, you 1-1 Muravanka.
Look, let's all just go home, right?
I mean,
if they 2-0 at the start. I don't really want to say that, but it puts on so much pressure, Kev. And Jordan really does spell it out. You say, well, you do expect the 1-1. Maybe it's their map choice, they get the 2. But if they don't, Muravanka, when was the last time we really saw a proper attacking side win on Muravanka? Like, they're almost non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, it was against what? Object 261, FE4005. Doesn't count when Archers are bringing a bit of an off-meta setup.
Yeah.
You have to look at it, and you have to also say that Sentinels are starting on the defensive side of Muravanka, kicking things off. So 2-0, yes, is actually very important. We're going on to Mines, and one thing we don't touch about Mines a lot of the time, we say it's a 1-1 split. It's a coin flip.
Yeah.
If you pull out the right strategy that counters whatever your opponent's doing, that could easily be a 2-0. So whether for Bulldogs, whether for Sentinels, who knows?
Yeah, this is a crucial battle now for the Bulldogs. So obviously, defensive side for the Bulldogs makes it a little bit easier perhaps, but the pressure is definitely on. And I said this to Kev earlier, and I said, look, are these teams going to be nervous? Is the pressure on? How's it going to feel? And Kev's like, no, it's pretty chill. If it were me, right, when you're talking about when was the last time they were on land, have they ever been on a stage like this before? And really these teams were made online, and now they're sitting next to each other. It's a very different scenario, sitting next to the other person in your team. Particularly if things are going wrong, you can either use it to build it back up, or it can make things worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a few younger players on the Bulldogs roster as well than what is there for the Sentinels. I feel like the Sentinels are, as a general rule, a bit of an older bunch, and so I feel like maybe that extra level of pressure isn't really being put on yourself if you're in your mid-20s as opposed to your teens. There's a big difference in your mentality as a person. So this could be a big deal for some of those Bulldogs players. Some of them really only fresh into their 20s as well. Like, it's crazy to talk about. I feel like that could be a factor. But for both teams, it in theory should be fairly even. It should be fairly similar, given the fact that none of these players have WGL experience outside of Madhouse, and he didn't manage to qualify for any lands or anything too special.
He was okay on the desk back in the day.
Well,
he needed a haircut. I'm glad to see he's got a haircut now.
It's a big difference being on the desk versus playing in the game. I can tell you that much. Being on stage, we all know it's going to be a bit of a different ball game, and getting that first round on the board, getting some of those early jitters out of the way, it really should cool things down. Wymo's not looking too concerned by things. He's got a big fan contingent in the crowd, as you can hear right now. So I feel like he's cool, calm, and collected. Is the rest of Sentinels cool, calm, and collected? To me, it looks like that is the case.
They do.
And for the Bulldogs, well, question remains to be answered.
We won't have to wait much longer. I didn't get this from you guys earlier. What hype train are you on right now? Obviously, we know that the Sentinels already won up. Does that change? What would you said 5 minutes ago, Jordan?
I mean, I probably would have said Sentinels, to be fair. I think it was looking like it would be a relatively clean win for them, just on paper. I feel like Bulldogs are kind of an X-Factor team. I want to see something from them, but it's kind of like that matchup against Matildas where, unfortunately, I have to back against them and hope for some magic.
Kev?
Sentinels all the way as well.
All right, we got 2 Sentinels. I'm a breezy boy. I'm going to go on the Bulldogs hype train. But let's get back into it. Prokhorovka, World of Tanks ANZ Premier League Season 2 Grand Final. And right now, the North Sydney Sentinels are 1-0 up in this best of 7.
Yeah, that said, Sentinels did get the win on the defensive side, which, again, we've seen be a little bit more strong during the regular season. Traditionally has been a little bit more defense-sided, not just Prokhorovka, but the game in general, the season in general. So Bulldogs with a good opportunity to pull this one back to a 1-1 at the very least. We have got Madhouse back in a Bat Chat 25T, which is going to be good. A little bit of assistance for Joe Otora. He doesn't have to go at it alone, especially against the strong powerhouse that is the Rainbow and Cindy Bat Chat duo for the Sentinels.
Pretty interesting, because this is something that you normally never see. Double Bat Chats really just going at each other at the moment. Rainbow going for a bit of a spotting run, but I feel like the other Bat Chat's low enough. Rainbow might be caught off guard. There's no tanks actually supporting this right now. The heavies are just trying to sneak through the line at this stage.
Yeah, Joe Otora has his gun in the right direction. If there is a shot to be had, he's going to get it out first, but looks like both Joe Otora and Madhouse will back away down the hill. Rainbow and Cindy remain unscathed. Was that a connection?
There was a connection onto, I think, the IS-7 at the moment that's been spotted out dark, though it's going to be so hard to pen. -2 right now for one of the Bat Chats, -1 for the other one. Both Madhouse as well as Joe. I don't think the Bat Chats have been spotted. They can suspect that there's one over here. They're trying to get maybe the push in. Joe's now been spotted out. Madhouse has also seen the other heavies. This is going to be such an interesting duel at the moment.
The Bat Chats on the hill need to be very careful with what they do with their clips, because if they fire those shots into the heavies, well, then the opportunity is for their counterparts to dump over, whether it is the Sentinels dumping onto Bulldogs or the Bulldogs dumping onto the Sentinels.
And a very important thing to note as well is that the bushes that you're playing at the moment. That's a bit of a weird bush, right? You normally suspect that if Joker's up there, you got a bit of coverage, you got a bit of camouflage you can work with. They don't really exist in Madhouse. I mean, he's taking a few shots at this stage.
Yeah, not connecting him.
There's one connection, but the Super Conqueror should be able to return the favor at the very least. It's into the oil tank, but it doesn't ignite it this time around.
Yeah, good couple of shots at the end of that clip there for Madhouse. It was looking a little bit rough, and in the end, Sentinels do have to sort of scamper away with a ineffective trade. They trade, what was it, maybe 2 shots for 3, I suppose, in the end, which is not a huge deal, but at least favourable enough for the Bulldogs. Big rotation coming through, but Roendi and Iron Guard both being spotted should be huge amounts of information for the Bulldogs.
And here's the thing, right? It's the re-push at the right time as well. I don't know if these Madhouse are going to be spotted out. They will be spotted out. So will Madhouse, though, at the same time. Madhouse doesn't have the clip loaded. Joe's not going to be there in time either. But there it is.
Well, he did.
Yeah, Wymo did manage to connect into the track, I think. Lots of spotting at the moment that's going in the favour, but they've now got the right side of the railway control on the side of Bulldogs. When you have an I-7 over here at mid, it exerts a lot of pressure. And Madhouse, you can see, just trying to find this angle onto Cindy at the moment.
Yeah, not having too much luck in that respect, but it is a powerful position to maintain control of. If Iron Guard is spotted, there should be shots through from everyone. Look at him getting lit up, 519 HP. A connection does go through, but he almost looks like he's going to get across, is forced to use the repair kit, and this is a damaging push for the Sentinels. They've managed to get some map control, but at what cost? A retrack comes through from the Bulldogs. Doesn't have the repair kit available. Ravi is going to be able to farm up a storm. There should be at least one more shot here before Iron Guard gets safe. If Iron Guard gets safe, an attempted tracking shot doesn't go through, hits the oil tank, but in the end, Iron Guard gets to the position that he wanted to. But he's a one-shot now, so very good defense so far from the Bulldogs, and Sentinels are in a spot of bother.
The problem is the Batchat's just unable to really push over at the moment on the side of the Sentinels. Rainbow does have to use a repair kit. He was tracked over, so it means that he has to just duck down. The double Batchat threat coming out from the Bulldogs at the moment. This is all down to Madhouse. That re-push, the timing push, completely catches Sentinel off guard. And I mean, you're looking at this, yeah, there's cap pressure, but it's a one-shot IS-7.
I mean, you say there's cap pressure, but it's 1 minute and 40 on the cap. There's 2 minutes 40 left in the game. All it takes is one reset here for the Bulldogs, and they have very, very healthy tanks to get that reset if push comes to shove.
Randy's down to a one-shot for a good roll for an IS-7 at this stage. You can see Ravi, he's very confident in pushing over. The IS-7's controlling the mid-ridge. So are the Batchats. What is going to be a threat to the Super Conqueror Ravi at the moment?
Nothing. I mean, is he even spotted at this point? It doesn't look like he
no,
is. So
he's just going to get the reset.
He's able to trundle forward. He's not only going to get a reset here, Kevin, but he's also going to get the opening kill for the Bulldogs on the defense, bringing it to a 4-on-5.
Now, Rainbow does manage to get an ignite on someone, so I think Dark's gone down to a one-shot as well. The push has to come out somewhere. They have to get a trade eventually. Madhouse is doing a fantastic job in this game. You said return to the Batchat, and it's really the island control that's worked right now for the defensive side. Dark eventually goes down. Another ignite goes in the favor of the Sentinels. The HP still not working in their favor. Cindy's now clipped out as well. The SDB should be able to get the kill as well. Dancing around quite well. Ravi's going to come over to the mid-ridge. Now, Rainbow is also trying to make the move, but he's still got 13 seconds left on reload.
Yeah, he's only got 755 HP to play with here as well. It's really going to have to be Wymo to do the majority of the work. Gets the better of Sol. That Udachi brings it back to the 3-on-3, but HP deficit is way too massive for the Sentinels right now. Time pressure for the Sentinels as well as map control for the Bulldogs. Look at the positions that they've got. They're so strong. Joe Atora does dispatch of Rainbow, and that feels like the X factor gone for the Sentinels. Your Batchat out of the picture. How are you going to win this game now? It just doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, and Ravi just wants to go for the Super Conqueror at the moment. So you can see he's just trying to find the angle, trying to isolate a couple of targets, and that's a great shot onto the 113 as well from the Batchat, from the rest of the shots from Joe. He's really connecting at range at the moment. The Batchat's the difference at the end of the day. Both sides brought 2, but Bulldogs just a little bit too good on the defense. And for Wymo, an almost unwinnable scenario right now.
I mean, it is an unwinnable scenario. He's got 45 seconds. There's no way he's chunking through 2.8k with all these tanks all over the map. Madhouse is just sitting on the island. Joe Atora up on top of the cliff. They can't even be spotted at this point. Ravi will surely get the job done himself when he does finally get a reload. Obviously, having a damaged ammo rack here isn't going to help him out all that much, but surely Wymo can't survive, and he cannot indeed. Bulldogs will equalize at 1 apiece. And we go into mines with a little bit more of a spicy situation than what we would have thought, Ben. If it was a 2-0,
yeah,
I might have been a bit disappointed. But I feel like this grand final is still here to deliver, and we have to wait and see.
This is the grand final we deserve, by the way. I don't want to call it too early, but the fact that we see the 1-1 there on Prokhorovka, that's what we wanted to see.
At the very least,
yes,
it's not a 4-0 that we had last season.
Oh yeah, looking good.
So there is that.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, all my fingers crossed, we go through to the tiebreaker a little bit later on. But the Bulldogs stepping up there. What do we think about what we saw from the Sentinels on attack? Kev, talk me through it. They go round to the right. Maybe they're going to take the hill, decide to swap it out. And, you know, we see a lot of damage here. Madhouse. We said, Madhouse, we love you on the bat chat. 3.5K, you love to see it.
It's the repush. It takes balls to go, all right, I'm going to repush into an area that I know there's 2 enemy bat chats. They could be hiding, they could be waiting, but that push gets so much information. You can see all the super heavies are in a place where for the Sentinels, they can't really get shots into Island. The bat chats have to leave. You can't be stuck over there, so they're forced to go over the rails. And you can see they're dancing around. They just can't find any targets to isolate. Meanwhile, on top of the hill, Joel Torre as well as Madhouse just go absolutely ham. Doesn't matter if Dark gets ignited twice or whatnot. It was still going to be very, very difficult for the Sentinels to get back into the match. And from there on in, it was pretty easy. 1-1 apiece now. 1-1
apiece. It's certainly what we like to see. Jordan, what were the key moments there for you? We saw, obviously, when the Sentinels pulled back across, they get spotted. That's kind of crucial. Then they push in.
Yeah, that feels like the big difference maker is the fact that they get spotted on that cross over the tracks. It basically signals to the boys on Bulldogs like, oh, okay, where do you think these guys are going? What do you think they're going to be doing? Well, they're going to go into mid. They're going to try and make something happen there. They're going to jump over. In the end, Bulldogs are perfectly set up to deal with that. The shots going on to Iron Guard were so nice. The fact that they get a double track on him as well. He gets to the point eventually, but it's a big difference between getting to the point on full HP or half HP and getting to the point on a one shot. So Ravi really has the easiest stroll in the park to get the reset, get the kill, and then the rest of it sort of falls apart. When you give control of that cliff to 2 bat chats and you're fighting from mid, I mean, Sentinels just opened themselves up to the perfect angle for Bulldogs to play from, and they got farmed.
It almost felt like a freebie. After they get spotted and the fact that bat chats have free reign, it's so difficult to deal with that. And we saw that they couldn't deal with it because I think at the end of the game, the bat chats were 2 of the 3 left. So, you know, no wonder Madhouse got some points on the board. So the Bulldogs, even this one up, 1 apiece. Prokhorovka, their map choice. So that's their map choice out of the pool for now. But it's a little bit of a better map pool, I think, than what, again, we see in regular season because we already had the bans, Kev. So what we expect to come through, these teams should theoretically be relatively comfortable.
I mean, yes, there's comfort, but you're looking at a 5-on-5 format. You're looking at the next map mines. This is such a coin flip heavy map, and the reason why I say it's so coin flip heavy is because you pull out the right strat or you have the right tanks and you use them the right way. That's it. You're able to take the game, and then it's not anything special. How many times have we seen it just eventuate into a hill fight because you brought the better tanks? Congratulations, you win the hill fight. Or you take river because the enemy team's not taking river. Congratulations, you have 1 map control.
I feel like there are a lot of instances on mines where you can really see exactly what's going to happen in the round based on the first minute to minute and a half of the gameplay. If you do take that hill fight that Kev's sort of suggesting, you lose the first tank or the first couple of tanks, then essentially you're in a position where, well, you've lost the hill fight, so you've lost control of the hill and you're a couple of tanks down. It's relatively routine from there for your opponents to kind of close the game out. Similar thing can be said about the river push. If you're taking that river push, if you're the attackers, you're set up nicely, you punish that, or vice versa, you're the defenders and you punish that nicely. There doesn't feel like there's that much recourse, and we very rarely see like one of the avenues kind of getting explored. It's either you're in mid or you're on the beach. If you're kind of going on the mountain side of the map, you're almost trolling in a sense. So we very rarely see that. I do wonder if maybe Sentinels have kind of thought about something here. They've figured something out that they're going to be able to utilize here that we haven't seen this season.
When you have so many pages of strats, right?
Exactly, right.
And you've picked this map, I'm expecting something special. I don't know what it is, obviously, but I have high hopes.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do in World of Tanks. Like there's often instances where you just find a timing, right, where you might be able to sneak a tank past the defenders, which if they're not quick enough, you get that tank across, then he's in a really solid spot. Something like that. And that's kind of, I think, if we throw our mind back to the semi-finals last season, I remember the game between Scorpions and Sentinels on this very map. Sentinels were able to get control of the hill, I think, but Scorpions were able to sort of sneak a tank behind them or around behind and hide themselves behind a house that the Sentinels weren't expecting. They went for a push, and then all of a sudden they get absolutely blown up. So there are still things that you can sort of work around on a map like Mines, but it does feel like it's one of those maps that sometimes can be a little difficult to operate on, especially if you're unfamiliar. So
yeah, it's weird to me because it is such a small map as well, right? There's actually not that much to Mines, which is why I personally like it, because I know where everything is. I didn't have to learn too much. But when it comes to this 5v5 format and it comes to these professional teams, anything is possible. I'm glad to see we're at 1-1. We've been listening to the crowd. There's a pretty big crowd in here, pretty vocal crowd. I want to know, they're rowdy, right? I want to know who you're here for, though. Who wants to see the Brisbane Bulldogs win tonight? Yeah?
It's all right.
Yeah, that's okay. Who's here for the North Sydney Sentinels?
And the third question, who's here for Wymo? I feel like we've got a few of them in the crowd as well.
They do love to see it. It's great to see how many people have turned up for this. Obviously, the first live event that we've had for so long, not just for tanks, but in general in gaming here in Australia. For obvious reasons, it's been fantastic here at Fortress Melbourne. It's been great to see the players up on stage, and great to see the 1-1 so far. Everyone kind of an opportunity to perform, an opportunity to see this go all the way through to the tiebreaker that I truly want before someone comes out as the winner. If you want to win at home, however, we've been doing giveaways all season long. Opportunities for you to win headsets, gear from Republic of Gamers as well. If you're in Twitch chat right now, you can type HyperX. If you're in Twitch chat right now, you can type Republic of Gamers to enter those competitions. And I think tonight is the last night for our ROG Strix 144Hz monitor as well, ! ROG in chat. And you'll see the URL to click to go through to that one and get your entry. So certainly if you haven't done so already, now is the time to do it, because we're running out of time. And even though you say, hey, we've got potentially 5 battles left, very quickly, Kev, this could turn from 5 battles left to, wow, the Sentinels just 2-0'd Mines and we're on match point.
Or even the Bulldogs can 2-0. We go, excellent, that was 1 minute. It was just a hill brawl. This team won it. How many times have we seen it on Mines? So I'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I have seen a couple of scrims with the Bulldogs recently. I've been sitting in. I've been participating, actually.
Oh, yeah?
So,
That's not a good sign.
That's not good at all.
It's definitely not a good sign. Especially
no wonder
considering-
they made shirts.
Yeah, especially when I'm just farming Madhouse like he's 800 win 8. So, yeah.
It's always easy when he's on the red line. You know where to find him, right?
He actually was on the red line, surprisingly. But he's not in the tank that normally expect to see in a red line. That's all I'm saying for now.
Okay.
So I'm really keen to see what Sentinels bring out into this, because things are just heating up in Mines. This could be a huge determining factor in who can actually win the finals right now.
I think this is going to be a big one, right?
Yeah.
By the time we get to the end of these next 2 battles, by the time we get to the end of Mines, I think we're going to have a pretty good feeling. Right now, I'm kind of on the fence. Yes, I said the Bulldogs. You guys said the Sentinels, and it's clear that both of these two teams have turned up tonight. But map number 1 was the Bulldogs pick. This is the Sentinels pick. This is Mines, a map we haven't seen all that often during the season. So what do the Sentinels have in store for us tonight? What have they pulled out for the World of Tanks ANZ Premier League Season 2 Grand Finals? We're about to see.
Just wanted to quickly point out, with this tank lineup that you're about to see when jumping in Sentinels, this is a retake mid strat that you use a lot of the time. Double Kranwagen, very super heavies. So Bulldogs, this all comes down to brawl potential at the moment. They do have HP on the back of this. It is eventually going to be a hill re-push. They don't know where the CSs are going to be. This is already really interesting because Sentinels bringing something different in.
Is it going to be a hill re-push, or is it going to be just a hill push? Because it seems like Sentinels right now, they're gunning it straight forward. They are going to be second to get there because they don't have the faster tanks. They don't have the Batchats or the CS63s, but Madhouse is playing a very dangerous game. Only gives up 1 shot worth of HP, which is not too bad, but needs to get the hell out of there. And has managed to just sneak his way around the corner. Sentinels are walking into a crossfire. It's dangerous, but they've got the HP to play with. Right now, starting to push their way on top of Ravi, but as of yet, they really haven't traded effectively at all. And if Ravi can get out, dump off without taking too much damage, I think the Bulldogs can take that as an acceptable exchange.
Yeah, all you need to do right now is just make sure the focus fire comes out, but Madhouse just doesn't get the shots across. Sentinels just going together. The heavies on the side of Bulldogs need to get the push across, but you can see this is just disjointed at the moment. This is really down to Dark to do a lot of the hefty work, but the wraparound's coming through right now. Cindy's staying hidden. There's no crossfire potential. Eventually, Rorindi's going to get the clip off. Sentinels, they've got the numbers advantage at this stage in time. The heavy's just not doing enough at this point.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And there's an Ignite as well onto Ravi just to top things off. The Focus Fire just not here.
This is exactly what you see all the time from the Sentinels. Look at how many players they have on a one-shot. 3 out of their 5 tanks are on a one-shot, and yet none of them have gone down. They are always so good at playing around with the HP, and they're so good at dealing with the aggression, juggling that aggression. There's not a single kill from the Bulldogs, yet so much damage done. 4 tanks at the end of the game remain on a one-shot, and not a single one of them go down. That is quintessential from the Sentinels, and a very clean victory in the end, even despite the fact that it didn't look like it was a good start.
It didn't look like a good start. As you said, the last team of 2, obviously onto the hill. Kev, those heavy tanks a little bit slow to get there, and I was like, they're kind of surrounded. This might be bad, but they managed to push on through. And the fact that they come away with so many one-shot tanks at the end, being able to share that damage, keep everyone alive, obviously an incredible result.
I wouldn't say it's just an incredible result there, but that's actually just another failing that I've just seen from the Bulldogs once again. It just comes and I look at the way that they take that. We talk about overmatches, okay? So double Kranwagen, as well as the, I think it's one of the Super Conks, push onto hill. What do you do there? You get your super heavies to push across the other side. You take one side of the map. You need to get the overmatch, but there's no overmatches. You're firing at completely different tanks. That is not how you win grand finals at the end of the day, right? Sentinels, they group up. They get the focus fire down. You can see them eliminating priority targets, making sure that they're staying alive. What do the Bulldogs do? They don't do anything to win the game. They're all playing the individual game at that stage. They need to group up and play together as a team.
I really agree with you, Kev. I think that was, obviously it was good from Sentinels. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, but I do sort of feel like there was a bit of a failing from the Bulldogs. They felt like they were on a different page. Ravi dumps off, he falls off, he decides he doesn't want to take the fight. Madhouse is sitting in the middle of no man's land, getting absolutely farmed in a bat chat, and he ends up getting caught out essentially without firing a proper clip off. He did eventually get a couple more through in the end, but it didn't feel like he got his value in a bat chat. If he would have dumped off as well, if all of those tanks might have dumped off, there might have been a better chance. They needed the backup from the 5A, they needed the backup from the Super Conqueror, but they didn't have it really quite quickly enough.
And just look at that scenario, right? You look there and you go, okay, both Kranwagens are a single shot, and Wymo's on 1800. Why didn't the shots go into the Kranwagens? That instantly takes down your autoloader threat. You need to get your HP into the fight. The heavies over here, they're just not on the right side. They're not dumping over. They're not really fighting the same tanks at the end of the day. And you can go, yeah, that was an Ignite. That's never fortunate. But you make your own luck. That's always the same.
You make your own fortune. 100%, 100%, Kev. You're right there. And the fact is, if they can get away, why are those Kranwagens still there? You're not going to win the game if you do not pick them up at that point. You need to look at things. I think it's always like, what is our path to victory? And the only way the Bulldogs win there is to pick those tanks up. So you either all in it or you don't. If you don't, you've got no chance.
You need to be on the same page, and to me that didn't feel like it was on the same page. There was a bit of miscommunication from Bulldogs. Like I said, I felt like Ravi wanted to get off, the other two wanted to fight. You needed to all fight or all dump off. And at the end of the day, they sort of halved it, and in the end, Sentinels was one for all, straight in there, really able to take that fight, and again, juggle that aggro as well as they always do. They're so consistent in that respect. They're the best team in the competition in keeping low HP tanks alive. I just don't know how they maintain the ability to do that, but for some reason, 5 tanks alive, and you've got to question, where does that come from Bulldogs? They need to sort of step up. They need to do better.
If you're versing a team who does that, and you can't do it yourselves, you need to be able to do something else a hell of a lot better to make up for it, right? And that's, when you're talking about HP as a resource to use, that's what the Sentinels do. They use that HP resource pool better than anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, yes, they used it well, but I have to go back down to the
You sound so disappointed, Kev.
I do, because it's just the fundamentals we talk about. It's focus fire. Like, it's the first thing, right? If you don't know how to focus fire, join 1AR. We'll teach you how to do it. It'll take 6 months, so maybe you can come join us, Sandman.
I'm ready. Get my win rate up.
That was like watching some of my advances. I'm going, you need to shoot the low HP tanks. You need to get your HP into the battle over there, and they're just not doing it. They're playing their own game, right? And yes, I get it. They have a Super Conqueror, which is not the fastest tank. They've got a 5A not in the right position, but you have to group up. You have to do something. You have to take some initiative. Otherwise, you're not going to be Season 2 champions. Sentinels have shown that initiative.
And that's it, right? That's it. That's what we're talking about. You're not playing any other team in the league right now. You're playing the Season 1 champs, who are looking to make it back-to-back, right? They picked Mines. They've got something prepared for it. They've got a whole book of strategies ready to go. So what are you going to bring to the table? And right there, it felt like the Bulldogs kind of turned up with like, I've come to the party. I brought some chips. Where are the drinks? I'm going to go grab one. Like, what else are they bringing to the party right now?
I think the problem for me is not the strategy, but the execution. I think I don't know what you think about that, Jordan, but I think it's like if it was a strategy that got counter-stratted like it was in Prokhorovka, I wouldn't be this upset. But when it's the execution part, when you're in such a favorable position, you punish the Kranwagens for making the retake on the hills. And I said, I looked at that lineup and I'm going, there's only one thing you do, double Kranwagens, you have to push onto hill.
Yep.
Okay, you've got the first couple of damaging shots. You've got the initiative then, you've got the HP equalization. Sure, the Kranwagens are scary, they can clip you out. Then they have to reload. You've got DPM on CS63s. You've got maneuverable tanks in a 5A as well as a bat chat. What are you going to do from that point onwards?
All right, Bulldogs now, their turn on defense. Though, funnily enough, that game kind of played out just, no one was really attacking, no one was defending.
That is Lions in a nutshell.
Just sort of brawl. So you can take that away. And my question now is, what are the Bulldogs going to bring? Obviously, they lost the first battle of the day, brought it back on defense. They've lost the attacking side of Mines. What are they going to bring us now to even this back, bring it back to 2-2 let's battle?
I'm saying something at the moment, Jordan. I don't know what it makes me feel.
Well, if you're going to talk about tank lineups, let's just
We'll do it later. We'll do it later. We'll do it for sure.
But what I want to say is I don't think that it's going to be quite as proactive from the Bulldogs as it was from the Sentinels. I think if we're going to see them on the defense, we're probably going to see them playing a bit more defensively. I'm not sure that they're going to go for that over-aggression into mid. I recall a game in the regular season where they did try to do that. It got shut down. It might have been against the Scorpions, I want to say, where they just got completely blocked and they lost a tank straight off the bat. So I don't know if they're going to go for that hard push up onto the hill. I suspect they're probably going to sit back a little bit more, wait and see what the Sentinels are going to bring to them, and hopefully that plays out a little bit more in their favour.
For the Sentinels, though, big opportunity right now. For those of you playing along at home, that's the real Doodle tank. Great to see him here.
Yeah.
He just eats. Just eats so much food. I don't understand how he does it. You got a lot of fans here.
I mean, how can you?
How many people are here for Elfish Guy? There's at least 1.5 people here in the audience for you.
Hey, I'm happy. I'm happy. I've done well.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's good enough for me.
It's good.
Yeah.
You like to see it. No, you two have obviously been a massive part of the Tanks community for like a long time now. So it's exciting to have you guys up here bringing us all the action. It's the World of Tanks ANZPL Season 2 Grand Finals. We're back to Mines. The Sentinels 2-1 up against the Bulldogs. If the Sentinels can find this one, they will be on grand final point.
Yeah, certainly something that the Bulldogs will be hoping to avoid. Well, Kev, now I think is the time for you to start breaking down exactly what you've seen. You asked for it in the show match. You're going to get it in the grand final. The Foch B is out for Soldat Udachi.
Yep. Once again, I don't know what to think about this one. There has to be a strategy based on this. It is going to be a hill push coming out, and the Foch be ready for this.
I don't mind this actually from the Bulldogs. It's not the hill push initially. It's actually the wraparound from the bat chats, and they're in a very good
they have
position.
to commit.
Roendi is taking a huge amount of damage. Dark is charging forward. Madhouse right behind. The Sentinels are getting farmed. This is what the bat chats and the Foch B are there for. Dark playing with his HP nicely. No Cindy's on the reload. We'll get this full clip across. The tracking shot, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Now Madhouse needs to find a way to survive.
Now Ravi as well pushing onto hill. Needs to get rid of this 277. Wymo's trying to block the shot. This is good usage of that 113 right now. As Rondi's able to get off maybe another one, which will be really solid.
Foch B's about to come off the reload. This is where we're going to see the hyperactive stuff coming through from the Bulldogs. Ravi gets the better of Roendi. Wymo trying to run away. Soldat Udachi, he can't turn around in time. He's in a tank destroyer. He doesn't have a turret. And Rainbow is farming up a storm, but the Sentinels are cowering away. And I think it's going to be Soldat Udachi that's just going to charge at Rainbow, but you don't want to be seeing Bulldogs splitting up here. You don't want to be seeing Soldat Udachi left alone against Rainbow. Yes, he's going to get those 3 shots out, but those 3 shots aren't quite going to be enough to kill Rainbow. And he needs help, and he does get it from Ravi. It's now just Wymo left alive in the 1-on-3.
Engine damage as well coming out from Cold. That's going to slow down the 113, even though he's trying to run. So Cold going to be hard on the hills right now. And here's the problem, right? Where is Wymo going to go? The 5A is going to come across. And it doesn't matter which fight he takes at the stage. Cold just needs to continue the pressure. He's going to eventually force Wymo into a crossfire at this point in time. Soldat, I mean, he is loaded as Ravi. They both bounce shots at this point in time. Soldat's going to come forward. 2 seconds left on the reload at this stage. And Wymo almost in an unwinnable scenario. And there you have it. Bounces the final shot. And there it is.
Ram
Who's
him.
going to get it? It's going to be the Ram. It's going to be the sandwich from the Bulldogs. 2 apiece coming out of Mines.
The Bulldogs bring it back on the defensive side of Mines, and as Kev just said, we're now at 2 apiece, the quintessential ANZPL score. But for the grand finals, that means we're really starting to set this one up. One main map coming up, and then potentially a tiebreaker. And we know the next map, Kev, Muravanka, a map that is so defense-sided.
Surely.
Real opportunity for us to go to a tiebreaker tonight.
Yeah. Surely not a 2-0 on Muravanka, Kev. That would be
It could happen.
unreasonable.
Look, all I'm just saying is I've seen Sentinels whip out a couple of things in Muravanka. I'd definitely say Bulldogs will have some ideas as well. I'm hoping I'm seeing something on attack, because you know how much I hate Muravanka.
You are not a fan. I'm a fan because it's always a bit of fun for me, because I know that the attackers have to bring out something a little bit crazy if they're hoping to win. Let's take a look at our battle results right here. 3K and 3K there for Ravi and Soldat Udachi. Not bad at all. And the bat chats, Madhouse going down. Look at those. 8 from 8. That's what you like to see.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's good from the bat chats. It's not so much about whether or not they get all 5 of the shots connecting. It's at least a question of whether or not they're in the fight to get that damage out. And they were. Dark managing to get all of his damage across. Madhouse not quite being able to get the full damage worth of shots across, if that makes sense. But he did get all 5 shots out. It just so happens that one of them was a killing blow. We had the Foshby in perfect position to start things off. I felt like Sentinels kind of ran into the setup from the Bulldogs. Maybe they needed to sort of slow things down a little bit, think, hey, where could this Foshby be going? What could this Foshby be doing? Because if we push the hill and the Foshby's there with all of its shots ready to go, probably not going to be in a good spot for us. And in the end, Iron Guard doesn't even manage to get any damage out that game. He just got blown up. It was a great pincer strike, really, from the Bulldogs. It's something we used to see a lot more in the 7v7 format. 2 tanks wrapping around the back. You don't normally see this in 5v5 because splitting your tanks in 5v5 can be very disastrous if one side gets dumped upon. In this case, though, Sentinels didn't have the tanks that were fast enough to do that. They didn't really have that proactivity ability. They didn't have the opportunity so much to push in onto the Foshby or the 5A or the 113, and even then, would you want to push onto those tanks? Maybe not so much. And then the Bat Chats come around the back. The only tank that really can deal with them is Rainbow in the STB1, and he, as an individual tank, just doesn't have the DPM to get rid of them before they can both get their full clip off. And if both Bat Chats both get their full clips off, that's a recipe for success. And so Bulldogs, they pull out a nice win here, bring it back to 2-2, and Sentinels are going to have to do a bit more work now on Muravanka.
Yeah, certainly the Bulldogs making the Sentinels work for it. Every time the Sentinels find themselves in the lead, the Bulldogs are able to bring it back, and that's what we like to see. So very even across the board. Look at everyone in chat. Look, I love it. It's like real life chat. Who would have thought that this is what it can be like when we're here in person? Very exciting. So am I right? It's been defensive side victories across the board tonight. So this puts us in a very interesting position, right? If we're heading to Muravanka, and Muravanka is also defensive side, and there is not an attacking side win, and we go to the tiebreak, we know tiebreaker for choice of side, when it's only one battle, side is very important. Firstly, you'd go to, well, who got the fastest attacking side win?
Right? Well, no one has. So.
No one has yet. So after that, what? It goes to like damage done or something for attackers. And I'm trying to think back now. Who had the best attacking side out of those 4 that we've seen so far?
That's something that we're going to have to probably leave to the admins because it does get a bit convoluted. You have to go back and like look at the math.
Are you telling me you haven't been adding it down all night, Elvish Guy? I'm very disappointed.
Absolutely have not been doing that. And I'm looking forward to seeing that, actually. I think we probably do get a 1-1 there on Muravanka, which will probably be defensive-sided victory. So, yeah, how does that get worked out for Sound River, and how big of an impact is that going to have?
Well, Kev says it's just the same. It's all about the defensive side.
It is, but I favour, when it comes to Sound River, and obviously this is a lot further down the line, you have to favour Bulldogs a little bit because
we're not
the way
that far away anymore.
Exactly. And this is a case of, okay, maybe a team can upset my expectations of Muravanka.
Yeah.
Maybe a team can take the attack. They pull out something insane, right? So, who knows?
Yeah, did you hear that, Bulldogs?
I did hear that.
We got that little one in our ear. Bulldogs currently sitting
with the advantage
for the tiebreaker. So that's also very interesting to know. So for me now, if I'm the Sentinels, you have to think.
But
do
they know that? Do they know that?
Know.
They probably don't. Like, let's be real. Like, or you can probably mentally work through it if you've got yourselves a couple of attacking side wins, and you can go, oh well, we had a really fast attacking side win. we probably got
We
it.
did pretty well. We
But-
had X tanks left, whatever.
When it comes to damage and whatever it is after that, it's pretty hard. So I don't think they know. I don't think they're aware of it. I don't think Bulldogs is aware of it. I don't think it's going to shape their gameplay all that much here on Muravanka. They're going to go into this one just saying, well, if we can break the attacking side somehow, that's going to be our best recipe for success. Let's not worry about the tiebreaker yet.
This is where I kind of get excited, though, Kev. And I know you don't feel this way, but this is how I feel, that it opens yourself up here to what crazy thing can we do on the attacking side of Muravanka. If Karat says there is no way we're going to win on attack, what can we do? Okay, if Kev says there's a 15% chance we win on attack, what is the thing that we do when we know we're probably going to lose? Yeah, exactly.
Hope someone puts a
Just throw it all in, right?
I was going to say, hope that someone puts a 430U not in a bush so you can absolutely destroy a target.
Yeah,
maybe.
You go back and you look at moments through the season, you go, well, that could have gone differently and that could have gone differently, and so many of them have been on Muravanka. Look at everyone in our audience here, loving it at the Alienware Arena at Fortress Melbourne. It's good to see so many people here and so many people watching online at home as well. Did you think, coming into this, Jordan, I know you said the Sentinels ahead, did you think we'd be heading to Muravanka at 2-2?
No, I don't think I did.
Does that change where your mind is at?
Yeah, in my mind, this is probably going to go to the tiebreaker at this point. That would be my prediction from here. If it goes to the tiebreaker, I'm not sure that the choice of side matters hugely. I think actually we probably would be in agreement here, Kevin, that Bulldogs seem to be the team that have a little bit more experience on Sand River, and I think they can equally win on the attack or the defense. Yes, it might be a little bit more difficult on the attack than on the defense from what we've seen so far this season, but it's not one of those maps that you're going to go, oh, it's Muravanka, it's almost 100% on the defense victory for Sand River. So I like the way that this grand final is starting to play out. I'm thinking we're starting to go towards that tiebreaker, which is not what I expected to see at the start of today.
I mean, it just comes down to sometimes Tanks is a fickle game, especially when it comes to a 5-on-5 format. It comes down to a couple of individual players, and you're going to start looking at maybe these scenarios where you go, okay, you look at Prokhorovka, that repush that comes from Madhouse, which is pretty mad if you ask me, where you're going, all right, I'm going to repush where I know two bat chats were, when I know they're super heavy to get shots into me, to make that push, and that is a game-winning play, right?
And that's
to
what
make that
about.
in the pressure of finals, to make that's a game-winning play. That brings you to one-on-one. Okay, that settles the nerves down, all right? Then Mines comes out, you forget how to do focus fire, that's fine, next map. Your bat chats then focus fire, you bring out a Fosh B, which is not something you normally do. On Mines out of all things, you win that 2-2, nerves are settled again. Coming to Muravanka, this is where you're starting to think, which individual's going to step up in Muravanka? Who's going to really pull something out? It could be Rainbow, as an example. Could be Wymo, who knows?
Look, there seems to be a lot of Wymo fans in the audience, so and it certainly seemed to be Sentinel-sided when we asked before who they thought was going to win. But the Bulldogs have brought it back, and they're giving us the grand final that we deserve. We couldn't have this for Season 1. We're here for Season 2. It's essentially what could have been the Season 1 rematch if everything in the semis of Season 1 had gone how we thought they would. And the fact that the Sentinels are here in person to try and defend their Season 1 victory. Can they go back-to-back Season 1, Season 2? We head to Muravanka 2-2, looking for 4 battle wins. But geez, it's going to be tough to go 2-0 here.
It is indeed. Bulldogs will start off on the unfortunate attacking side, so we'll get to see what they can show us first. I think we have to keep our eyes on the attacking sides in both halves of this game of Muravanka, because that's going to be the real difference maker. If there's an attacking side win, then it throws this into chaos. If not, well, we move on to Sand River. Bulldogs look like they're in a pretty good spot here. They've already got the tanks up towards the 1 flag. That said, Rainbow getting a lot of information moving into the Magic Forest. Needs to be careful that he doesn't roll around the corner into Joatora. But it's a different setup from the Sentinels on the defense than what we would ordinarily get.
Hang on a second. Iron Guard's completely by himself at the moment. And if they push straight onto him, yes, there's an STB1 that's going to be providing some cover and fire, but he's been absolutely exposed. And normally that's the tank that gets the resets onto the 1 flag. What is this coming out from Bulldogs? They've just dumped completely over. The Batchats need to rotate away. They're not in the position to deal with this right now on the side of the Sentinels. They need to get rid of Iron Guard so quickly.
This is a really good read from the Bulldogs, but it's all about time right now. It's a question of whether or not they can get the damage out before the reinforcements arrive for the Sentinels. We do start to see shots coming through from the Sentinels, but reality is the damage is done. done. Wymo is dead. Iron Guard is isolated. I don't think he survives much longer here against two 277s and potentially an E5 as well. That's 2 tanks off the field already from the Bulldogs, and this is looking like it will be an attacking side victory. 2 Bat Chats and a T100 LT for the Sentinels on the defense to try and clutch this out. But Kev, a 5-on-3, how can you possibly win that?
Well, you've got 2 Bat Chats. That's a recipe for success. You've got a T100 LT still available in play, and you can never count out Rainbow. How many times does it come out to a clutch scenario, and Rainbow's able to get away? E5's pressuring at the moment. No shots really coming forward. Bulldogs actually just massing together as a massive blob at the moment to see if they can try to catch one of the Bat Chats out. Cindy hasn't had the opportunity to really go on the reload. Yes, Rerendi should be able to slip away. Rainbow's going to be able to assist at the very least, but this is definitely not ideal. 5-3 and no priority tanks that are that low. 277s are relatively quick as well, and there's plenty of time for the Bulldogs to work with.
Yeah, the Bat Chat's certainly on the hunt. It's really a wolf pack right now from the Bulldogs, and Madhouse leading that charge in the in the Bat Chat, I should say. Cindy has had to stop. He's stuck behind this house. Where can he go? He's going to be collapsed upon by the 277s. Good damage, though, going on to Madhouse.
Good focus fire.
Oh, that's not good for the Bulldogs. It's not the end of the world, that's for sure, but it is not a great start to the 5-on-3, which is now, incidentally, a 4-on-3, and the Bulldogs start to look weaker and weaker. Ravi, a 1 shot away from death. Soldat Udachi will get 1 more as Cindy goes over the ridge. But these Bat Chats, they can move pretty quickly. I don't know that Cindy gets out of here alive. A tracking shot.
And he doesn't have a repair kit.
Absolutely seal it looks like. And it will. Soldat Udachi finishes that kill off. So, in the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade. A bit overzealous from Madhouse, it has to be said, but it is saved by the rest of the Bulldogs.
And now Joe Atora, he's going to be the linchpin at the moment. Rondi's down to 787. It has to be a good roll from the second shot from a Bat Chat, 390 Alpha, and the T100 LT is going to be spotted out.
In my mind, a lot of this game really comes down to what Joe Atora does in this Bat Chat. He's in the tank that can chase down the T100 LT.
Oh, and the tracking shot!
Down the other Bat Chat, and he's getting some good shots through here onto Rainbow, but so far not really the connections that he wants. Goes on the reload, and Rainbow either senses that, recognizes that, or just decides to play a little bit more aggressively, gets another one through, another sneaky one through, and this is where the individuals, you have to say, start to step up for the Sentinels. It's a 5-on-3. It was a 5-on-3 for the Bulldogs, but it looks like Sentinels are playing so much better in this disadvantageous position than what Bulldogs are. And arguably, this is what Bulldogs should have done a minute and a half ago. They should have dumped 3 players on the cap, should have forced Sentinels to come to them instead of running around the map chasing Bat Chats and T100 LTs.
Well, Rerendi, it's going to be all up to him at the moment. He doesn't have really much to work with. He can't really kill a target. Might have to expose himself as well. Rerendi's going to get the reset right now. Joe Atora needs to win this duel, but Rainbow gets the tracking shot.
He's not spotted.
And he's still not getting the shots down at the moment. He's missing a lot of these shots on the clip at this stage. 25 seconds left on the cap. Rerendi, how many shots has he got left in the clip at this stage? Rainbow, he wins that 1-on-1. Yes, he's tracked. Where's the fire coming out from the Bulldogs? It's not coming through at this stage. 15 seconds left.
It's on to Rainbow now. The reload obviously there for Rowendi for the next 32 seconds. If Rainbow can't get resets on a consistent basis, the Sentinels will drop their defensive side on Muravanka. That one hasn't been reset. Ravi is okay for now. 5 seconds. Can Rainbow get it done?
Yes, a reset.
Yes, it's a big one as well. Back to 30 seconds for the Bulldogs, and they've got no vision. They can't see anything, Kevin. They're 3 heavy tanks sitting ducks on the cap, and they're just eating shells from the T100 LT. And now Rowendi will start to come off the reload. This is the horror scenario. This is the tilter for the Bulldogs because they were up 5-on-3, and yet somehow they've let this attacking side slip away.
That's what I said, though.
How does the Sentinels clutch that out?
You can just never underestimate these players at the end of the day from the Sentinels. Beautiful play coming out, and Joe just cannot punish that T100 LT. He loses that 1-on-1 deal. Rainbow steps up once again as an individual. They're trying to chase a Bat Chat. You're never going to chase this Bat Chat down. That's the problem. And that's it. That should be Sentinels going up 3-2. I thought Bulldogs had it. That was a perfect attack plan that you needed to make work. And they let it slip.
Yeah, they're going to look back on this game and think, why didn't we, after we got those 2 initial picks, just sit on that 1 flag? Why did we not just sit on the 1 flag? There's defense there. There's little defilades that you can play with. You're going to force the Sentinels to come to you. You set a couple of tanks up on the mid bridges, and you spot the guys that are coming in for the resets. You have your 3 tanks sitting on the cap, and all of a sudden Sentinels is put into a really bad situation. Instead, they overcommit for the chase. Madhouse gets a bit too over-eager, caught out in no man's land, dies for free, does absolutely nothing. Joe Atora in the other Bat Chat goes and tries to chase Rainbow down. Yes, he gets a shot through, misses a shot. It doesn't really work out
just
too well
misses
for
too
him.
many, that's the
and then
problem.
Rainbow, with that extra little bit of DPM, as the Batchat's on the reload, gets the advantage there, is inevitably able to win that duel, and all of a sudden, you've lost your 2 tanks that have any spotting ability, any mobility, and you're relying on 3 heavy tanks to try and beat a light tank and a medium tank. It's just not going to happen at a gameplay level of this caliber. Sentinels, an absolutely massive clutch from Roendi, from Rainbow. You have to give a shout out to Cindy there as well in the other Batchat. He was also a massive asset. And in the end, the Sentinels, I don't know how they've done it, Kev, but they've won on the defensive side of Muravanka.
I mean, but you have to look at the context of it as well. And you can see Roendi's going to be happy with that as well on screen. Sentinels now on not only match point and series point, but championship point.
Absolutely, and what an incredible way to do it. They do clutch a victory from the jaws of defeat. We're like, how often do you see the full send over the hill, then it works out, and they're in such an advantageous position, the Bulldogs. You think, surely they cannot lose from here. Madhouse goes down. You're like, it's okay. They can't lose from here. And then the reset comes out just in the nick of time. And I agree with what Jordan said earlier. Kev, what happens if they just sit on the 1 cap?
Oh, they would have won. Because it's all you need to do at that point in time is you just go down and you think, okay, what's HP at the moment? All right, we've got the HP advantage. We've got the tank advantage at the stage. We have all the time in the world to work with.
Yeah.
Slow things down. How do we 100%? And this is what we always talk about, 100%ing a game. What happened just there? You can see Bulldogs got so enthusiastic. They went, we're winning this. We've actually got a huge advantage of winning this. And they forgot how to play percentage border tanks. They started going for kills. They got that bloodlust. We always talk about that bloodlust where you try to go in for the kills.
Didn't work?
No.
That could be a $5,000 World of Tanks battle right there, Elfish Guy.
Yeah, that could be an absolutely massive round. I mean, getting a win on the attacking side of Muravanka, I mean, if we go back and count how many times that happened during the season, I think it might have been, what, 2? One was kind of a trolley game from Archers versus Sentinels, and the other, I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm pretty sure there was 2. But the reality is how many times we actually saw an attacking side win on Muravanka. That's the kind of opportunity that you cannot let slip through your fingers. And Bulldogs, I mean, look, this is where it was going right. As we go through this replay package, you're going to see where it starts to go wrong for them. Initially, this looked like a brilliant strategy. I don't know how they made this call. I don't know why they made this call. It seemed like a perfect counter read. They must have somehow known the other tanks were in the Magic Forest. They decide to go over. They decide to isolate those 2 tanks. This now is where things start to go wrong. You're in a Batchat. You're on your own, essentially. That E5 and that 277, you think they're there to help you out, but they're not. And in the end, Madhouse makes a bad decision by going back up and over. If he would have stayed down in the bottom, maybe has a bit of a better chance of surviving. Instead, opens himself up to a bunch of angles, goes down. Yes, they get the trade for Cindy, but it's at the cost of one of your own full HP Batchats, which, even though you're in a 5-on-3, you kind of need those Batchats late in the game to clutch these situations out. And this is why I always say the Batchats are the most important tank on the field at any given time. They're the tanks that can clutch out. They're the playmaking tanks. And they have to be the ones to play selfishly. You need to play selfishly in a Batchat.
And that's it, right?
You throw your life away, you could potentially lose the game for your team.
Madhouse
that's what happens.
Doesn't play like that normally, right?
Well, he
like
needs to.
In a scenario where it's 5v5, he's not playing like that. He's literally just throwing that out to play a little bit differently because they have the advantage and they want to hunt him down. You go back 1 minute, you change it up. How many times do people win by jumping on the 2 cap?
No, that should have been...
When was the last time you saw it? And every time it's close, it's because you're on the 1 cap, right? All of those ones that have come down to the last couple of seconds, it's always been a 1 cap play.
It's always the case that that's a dream scenario. If it's like, that's a recipe for success, you've managed to isolate targets, you haven't bled so much HP, you're on a 5-on-3, you've got plenty of time to work with. That's like a dream attacking scenario. You can just slow no one's bleeding at that point. And then for whatever reason, they decide to go after the Batchats when they're not really in the position to do so. Mm-hmm. And that's the part where I go, hate to say it, that's the part where you will look back and you go, we could have been Season 2 champions right there.
Yep.
We could have made the championship winning play where we go, let's slow down. Doesn't matter if you go to the 1 cap. You sit a Batchat all the way in the corner to spot out for the T100 LT, and you put another Batchat over here, maybe spotting out Magic Forest so you don't get reset. Maybe even go back to your own, back into the 2 cap or the 1 cap that you normally pressure over the hills on the left side of the map, and you set up accordingly for there. There's so many positions you can set up for success, force the Batchats to come into mid to get the reset. but they don't go for the, I guess, the 90% options.
Yeah.
They go for a much higher risk option. They individually overcommit. They get overzealous, and as a result, and you have to say, once again, Bulldogs, they definitely let the ball drop, but what an effort coming out from Morendi as well as from Rainbow. And that's what I was talking about. It's like, man, this is the part where you look at two Batchats and a T100 LT, and you go, you cannot let it slip against players of this caliber, especially a player like Rainbow. How many times has he just bailed out? It wins that crucial one-on-one deal against Joe.
It's the exact same storyline that we've been telling time and time again for the Sentinels. It's you think they're out of the game, you think they're done, and yet they somehow find a way to pull off the impossible. And this is probably the third or fourth or fifth time or instance that we've seen that happening this season. And from a 3-0 deficit, they're able to get through the grand final. Now, from what looked like a potential loss on Muravanka, which we've already indicated is a huge impact, they come back to win on the defense. And now, look, I mean, they have the advantage. They could potentially close this one out here with a win on their attack. I'm still not predicting for that.
That would be pretty nuts if we saw it.
In your mind, if you're Bulldogs, you go and win this game on the defense, you think, well, we probably could have won this series by now.
We would have been done, right? And I think it's an interesting thing to say, right? We talk time and time again about play the game. How do you win from here? And yes, the Sentinels can play the exact same thing 5 times in a row, and they may lose 4 times, right, at that deficit. But the only way they come out and win is by playing it in a certain way. And that's what they continue to do. They continue to find the right plays, make the right individual calls. And when it gets to situations like this, Kev, the Sentinels always seem to be able to take that step over the line and come out just a little bit ahead. And here on the stage in the grand final, that is such a massive thing to have.
Oh, for sure, 100%. So, I mean, now you're looking at this and you're going, okay, for the good thing for the Bulldogs is that you're confident for Sand River. You have to forget about that. You just go, all right, we cocked that one up. I think that's the reality of the scenario. That you're in the prime position to really take that. Okay, onto our defensive side. Let's make sure we convert this to defensive side as well. Muravanka is still that map. It's a 1-1 map in a very different way this time around, as I would have argued. I think you go into Sand River, you might still have the tiebreaker advantage. I'm not too certain there, but you have the tiebreaker advantage. You're going onto Sand River's defense. Most likely, I would pick defense on Sand River. I think you would as well, Jordan.
Sure.
And then you win 4-3, right?
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that's what we're looking at here. If you're captain for the Bulldogs, right, and you could at the start of the day say, yes, I will say that we're one battle down with the defensive side of Muravanka coming up and then our pick of side on the tiebreaker, you would probably take that any day of the week, right? You say, I would love to be in that position. So that's exactly where they are right now. So you need to kind of wipe the slate. And that's where we were talking about earlier, you know, what are attitudes on land like? What is it like when you're sitting with 4 other players who you've been playing with all season, but now it's in person, the pressure is on. The crowd's here as well. You can hear them hyping up as the battle progresses. And you really need to sit and settle down, I think, sometimes. Some people find the hype. Other people want to calm it down. I don't know what the Bulldogs will take.
I think they definitely need a reset at this point.
Yes.
That game gets the blood pumping, and all of a sudden it gets dropped straight away. So you have this roller coaster of emotions. Maybe the adrenaline's going. Maybe your hands are starting to get a bit shaky if you're the Bulldogs. Now you're thinking, oh, you know what? We might have thrown it all away. So let's just get a mental reset here. Make sure that we're full focus going into this defensive side. All the cards are still in their favour for this round in particular. They just need to get over the line here, and then they can worry about the important round on Sand River, whether that's on the defense, whether that's on the attack.
If we get there, the North Sydney Sentinels are on grand final championship point right here on the attacking side of Muravanka.
7:05 at Church at the moment, which is going to be a really, really interesting move. There's nothing really covering it as well, so... And this is such a mobile lineup coming up from the Sentinels as well. A few Batchats here, 63 as well for DPM support, Crime Bargain and Super Conqueror.
Yeah, once again, Sentinels favouring that mobility. And that's obviously going to assist in the rotations. We do have Madhouse and a Batchat, Joatora in an STB1, so there's a bit of mobility on the defensive side as well. But Bulldogs are going to have to be pretty careful with what they do. Obviously, they don't want to throw things away again. Wymo, it's not necessarily a super aggressive spotting run here. He's just getting a bit of info. This is generally pretty safe. And he's done a good job of clearing out some map control for the Sentinels right off the bat. The 2 Batchats there as well to help him in the Magic Forest if push comes to shove, but in the end, not really required. So This is a bit more like what we expected Muravanka to play out like on that first round. Defensive team, you know, taking that bottom left quadrant of the map, just sitting there being happy to wait for the attackers to come to them, and then the attackers kind of taking control of the rest of the map and then slowly starting to figure out what they want to do, whether it be a 1 flag push or maybe something a little bit more tricky towards the 2 flag.
I'm just wondering if the 705A, well, there's a building actually blocking the rear at the moment, so that's going to be still very difficult for Wymo to spot out. Super Conqueror has been spotted out as well. The tank did touch the cap earlier on, so it is a case of they know and they suspect where one of the tanks from the Sentinels are. They don't know where the Batchats though. And that's always going to be the key threat. Double Batchat means that Madhouse has to play this so safely and very carefully.
Yeah, he's working his way back down on toward the K line, which could inevitably have him running into the CS63 if he does overcommit. Soldat Udachi copped a shot, was forced to use the repair kit on his gun earlier on in the piece, and his information is still given away. There's another tracking shot to go through, so I mean, a little bit lucky in the grand scheme of things so far for Soldat Udachi, who has, you know, received a couple of shots, but actually taken no damage. Now the Sentinels are going to start to put that pressure onto the flag. It's actually Cindy that's there in the Batchat, which is not often what you would see. You'd normally see maybe a Kranwagen, maybe a Super Conqueror, maybe a 277, something like that, a heavy tank on the cap, but not so much a Batchat. So Bulldogs are wondering what's going on here.
And Ravi's been spotted out as well. This is the problem with the 705A in this position. He can bleed out a lot. Needs just to go, well, hold down. Rainbow missing a few shots. Now Dark coming in the Kranwagen. You're always going to win this fight. Now the Super Conqueror as well as Warendi need to come into fight. Darkness needs to back out. Joe Toro needs to go absolutely, well, needs to play cautiously. You've done a lot of good work right now. Soldat just wants to go in. They've eliminated one of these tanks.
Oh, Madhouse, he misses a shot in the Batchat. That's not too good. The Kranwagen, though, in all sorts of trouble. Dark off the reload. This is good from Bulldogs. This is proactive gameplay, and they are taking the game into their own hands. Again, they've taken 2 tanks away from the Sentinels. This time, let's not throw the game away.
All they need to do is just reset the scenario. Ravi, you can see, is just... he shouldn't win this one-on-one, but he's done a little bit of damage to Rainbow. It's keeping him occupied, but it's still difficult to go through a 705A, especially like this. There's a lot of shots, just not going through the lower plate. 2 shots left at the moment. 1 shot needs to land this one. He will, but that forces him onto a clip. In the meantime, the HP, you have to say, is very, very equal right now. They need to do a lot of damage. They need to equalize the numbers, and I think Dark has done enough alongside with the rest of the guys. Get over the ridge, just get out of there. You don't need to take more damage from the Bulldogs right now.
Yeah, they really don't need to be taking this fight. This has been a massive game from Dark. He's the one that makes that initial decision in the Kranwagen to push on top of Cindy in the Batchat, does so much damage, gets his reload off, and is able to push forward onto Rowendi as well as soon as that reload does get concluded. So I suspect when we do get to see the damage charts after this game, it is going to be Dark every day of the week at the front for the Bulldogs. But now, again, we look towards a clutch for the Sentinels. This time it's Rainbow and Wymo, but a 4-on-2, and they're on the attack this time. That's the difference. It's the timer working against them as opposed to for them.
Yeah, oh, that is a bit of an unfortunate shot coming out from Rainbow. It connects, but it hits a module, so Madhouse doesn't take any damage. And you can't make this cross as a Batchat because you're out exposed in the open, and Dark is just hitting, well, a lot of shots at the moment. That wasn't really connecting. Blind shot going through, but all you have to do is just once again reset the scenario. You're forcing Sentinels to play this cat and mouse game, and eventually Madhouse is going to, well, come out on top, I would say. He spotted out Rainbow. He hasn't been spotted out himself. He's got supportive cover right now from a Super Conqueror as well as a Kranwagen. And you can see Rainbow suspects where Madhouse is, but it's so hard to dig out. Time not in Sentinel's favor. We may be going to Sand River just yet.
Yeah, it certainly looks like we're going to be heading in that direction, Kev. Rainbow not happy with where that shot's gone, and you can see on his face a little bit disappointed, but let's be real. It is the attacking side of Muravanka. We all knew which way this one was going to be going. Madhouse looking for a little bit more damage, and well, Rainbow knows that it's all over for him. In the end, it's just going to be Wymo alive, and this should be the victory lap, really, for Bulldogs here on Muravanka. But it's not the end of the game just yet. Now, on one hand, for Bulldogs, it's a sigh of relief because they haven't thrown the entire game away. At least they've brought it back and forced it back through to the tiebreaker. But on the other hand, there's going to be that voice in your head that would be saying, instead of now having to think about the tiebreaker, we could be celebrating. There's a minute left on the clock. We know this game's going to be ours as a victory. We could be celebrating right now, and yet you're not. There's still more work to be done in this series, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Sentinels could very well still come away with the win.
Now I mean, this is surely an impossible scenario for Wymo to win, right? There's not much you can really do as a CS over here.
I mean, he's got 50 seconds. He's on the attack, Kev.
Yeah. I mean, 3-3 apiece. Sand River. What a fight back coming from the Bulldogs. You say you think about the previous one. And this is not a bad time for Sentinels to reset, right? You go, all right, that's our attack on Muravanka. It was always going to be difficult. We brought it back to here. All right, we're giving ourselves a chance for Sentinels. That's what they'd be probably saying to themselves at the moment. This is their chance to reset, go into Sand River and think, all right, what are we going to do in our attack or defense, depending on how the tiebreaker resolves and who team gets to select. For the Bulldogs, this is once again, you're riding really the peaks and the lows at the moment. You started off on a low, then it's a victory, then another low, then another high. Oscillation between emotions, and now this is all it. Final map.
Yeah, Wymo going to do the honors here. Will inevitably run that timer down, and it is a victory for the Bulldogs in the end, which pushes us through to the tiebreaker map. Sand River, the scoreline 3 apiece. Anyone's game.
Certainly is, from Wymo in the river over to Sand River. And gents, I don't want to preempt anything here, but based on that attacking side we just saw from the Sentinels, I don't imagine that they've been able to get ahead of what we saw from the Bulldogs earlier when we mentioned that the Bulldogs did have that attacking side advantage, and of course then the choice of side when we go to Sand River. So for the Bulldogs right now, we'll sort this out, and I'm sure the admins are on the case, and we'll let them know. It's going to be, it's a good position to be in, Kev.
Oh, for sure. Picking the side on a map that you're very comfortable with. We look back to regular season, you see how many times Sand River has been played by the Bulldogs. You think about how many times Sentinels have played Sand River, and you go, don't really remember too many, but it's like that's a regular season for Sentinels. Outside of Cliff, you're not fully confident on how they're going to take some of these maps. So I look at the damage charts, and it's one of the first times that I talk about it, but it's one of the scenarios you need some of these individuals to step up. You think Joe, he's going to be kicking himself by going in that bat chat game where he misses a couple of shots, potentially gets unlucky by RNG, but he steps up in the SDB. Dark as well, having a fantastic performance in the Crown Bargain. Might be seeing that come out once again in Sand River. Dark seems to always do well on that map as well. But you have to look at it on the side of Sentinels as well. A lot of good individuals. They can definitely bring this back.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to really highlight Dark again. I think he was the player that made the difference there for the Bulldogs. I felt that he had a great start to the season. He definitely had his moments. Did slow down a little bit as we started to see some of the other players come through. And I think that might have been where we sort of saw Bulldogs start to really move into the higher echelon of competition. If you see Dark come online, I mean, what a difference that makes. That's just such a big, massive round from him. And
he almost
such
gives
playmaking
them.
ability.
He almost gives them the win. Now, we know that we kind of expected the Bulldogs to win on defense, but he comes out there, he gets all the damage. I'm not. Did he even take damage by the end of the battle there? I'm not even 100% sure. He was looking very healthy towards the end.
This is a scary push to make as well in a Kronwagen, because you don't necessarily know exactly where all of these other tanks are. You probably have an idea that maybe the CS63, maybe the Batchat, they're somewhere around in the town, but what if they're hiding somewhere to punish and push for this reset? In the end, Dark takes that gamble, makes it happen. So that Odachi just goes straight over, has faith that his teammates are going to back him up there as well, and the Bulldogs do manage to convert that into a victory for themselves. I got to say, I like what I'm seeing from the Bulldogs here. I mean, I thought that we were going to see a pretty comfortable win today for Sentinels. The map pool hasn't necessarily facilitated that quite so much. We have seen these quote-unquote 1-1 maps in Mines and Muro, which, you know, obviously the fact that we didn't get a 2-0 on Prokhorovka did lead us after that first round to say, well, we're probably going to be going to Sand River at this point, and we are proven correct here. But I like the way that the Bulldogs are contesting it. Felt like they came in as pretty big underdogs, and yet they're really taking the fight to Sentinels, and they're looking just as good as the Sentinels are. And it's really hard to say at this point who will actually come away with the win on Sand River.
So Bulldogs have actually picked defense.
Okay.
Right, so which is what we expect on Sand River, because it's still that defensively sided map. They're setting themselves up for success, but I don't want to discount Sentinels. They're a championship team. They've got those strat books. I'm hoping there's something in that strat book for Sand River. They didn't look too crash hot during regular season, but if there's time to bring out a strategy like we saw in Muravanka, this is the time for them right now.
Oh, you have to go back and you think about how the Sentinels got here, right? If you talk about being in pressure scenarios, that's them. They've been under pressure. They were 3-0 down up against the Scorpions. They managed to bring it back, one by one by one. And in the end, one of their great attacking side wins did give them the choice of side of Muravanka, the tiebreaker, last time around. They still were the ones who managed to put themselves in that position and come away with the victory. So certainly if there is a team who is capable of winning here, defensive side of Sand River, confirmed. Attacking side of Sand River here.
The Sentinels, yeah.
Yeah, then it is the Sentinels, right? That is the question I have to ask. But the Bulldogs, Jordan, they've proven themselves today as well. And if the Bulldogs play this how they should, right? If the Bulldogs, the best of the Bulldogs turn up for this one battle, they should go home as champions.
I agree. I feel as though the situation has shifted in favour of the Bulldogs now. They get the choice of side. They're moving on to a map that they're generally pretty comfortable on.
Yeah.
There's only one left to play. All the cards seem to be in the Bulldogs' pocket. The exception being playoff Sentinels maybe can fire up and cause some havoc here. But like I said, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from the Bulldogs today. If I had to give a prediction on this final map, I would be going with the Bulldogs at this point.
Kev, what do you think? Are you changing? Are you coming Team Bulldogs? I've been on Team Bulldogs since the start of the day, by the way.
I feel like Bulldogs do really, really well when they're the underdogs. And it does come down to the fact that everything points this towards being a Bulldogs victory. It's a defense on Sand River. That's a map that you know Madhouse has started to perform in recently. He's really been popping off. So can Dark.
Yep.
I don't know if they're using AVP, if they're still using the roster that we saw from beforehand, but they've got very serviceable Super Conk players. They've got serviceable Crown Bargain players here. Everything points towards this being a Bulldogs victory. So I'm thinking the Sentinels are going to take it.
In classic style.
In classic style, because we've been talking all season things that make sense.
Yeah.
But the things that don't make sense happen sometimes. There's going to be a huge individual player that comes out. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, we've got into great grand finals.
Yeah, what a redemption story it would be for the Bulldogs if they were able to get the win today. I mean, they were in Season 1 the team that we thought was going to go through and be the victors.
Yes.
In the end, they lost 4-3 to the Archers in the semi-final. Such a shocking result for all involved, especially my channel points. Let's keep reiterating that fact.
Yeah.
And obviously, they don't get a chance to fight for that title in the end. Now, Sentinels come back for a title defense, and yet it's looking like Bulldogs is up to scratch. And it's been such a redemption arc for them, even during the regular season.
The Bulldogs almost didn't make semis.
Exactly.
They almost were not top 4.
They didn't look like they were a very good team in the first few weeks of the competition, but
Yeah.
they really started to go from strength to strength to strength. And now they're here, 3 apiece with the Sentinels, and we don't really know what's going to come from Sand River.
We see our audience here at the Alienware Arena. When I asked earlier, everyone was on the side of the Sentinels. We're going to do this again. Who thinks the Bulldogs are going to come out as champions tonight? There's a little bit in there.
Yeah.
Who thinks the North Sydney Sentinels can win on the attacking side of Sand River and go back-to-back ANZPL champions? That certainly sound to be the fan favourites here at Fortress Melbourne.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a bit of abuse for predicting the Bulldogs in that final game. I'm just going to, maybe after the game's over, especially if Bulldogs don't win, I'm going to stay up here and you guys can stay down there and I'll just keep myself safe. You know, I've got this big shell right here. I mean, anyone tries to mess with me, they're going to have to deal with that.
I mean, I was going to say, you've got the turret of a Concept 1B. Nothing's going to go through
That's
your
right.
head, so you're fine,
Just
mate.
fire this off. We'll be fine.
What a way for us to end this season. And for this season, what a way for us to end 2 seasons, really, right? Because we didn't get the land finals for season 1. And the fact that ANZPL has come so far in such a short amount of time, the teams have come so far, and we get to finals, and it goes to the tiebreaker.
Yeah. This is the finals that we deserved, honestly.
It's a
all
dream.
along. It's a dream. Land finals once again.
Yep.
Packed crowd, all honesty. Probably on the bevies already. If not,
It's like
why multiple?
It's like being at the footy, except we're not. We're watching World of Tanks.
It's a little bit more comfortable in here than it is at the footy. Let's be real. You go there, it's pretty cold.
I was going to say, like at least here, Safi's probably not complaining about the cold as much.
I don't know why he kept bringing up Viking blood if he kept feeling cold when it was only like 10 degrees or something like that. That was a bit weird, but anyway.
It was a bit
And
weird.
he was going to me at 6 o'clock and he's going like, I'm only staying for a little bit, and we still saw him at 7:30. I wonder if he's still in the crowd right now.
Look, it's been a redemption, I think, here, and it's I don't know. I am so conflicted right now because the Bulldogs are in prime position, but do they fall at the last hurdle? The North Sydney Sentinels, who were your Season 1 champions, who have brought a book of strategies, who have time and time again, when people have either counted them out or they've done something silly, they've been able to bring it back, and now they're in that exact same position. This is a $5,000 battle of World of Tanks right now. The very last battle of the ANZPL Season 2 Grand Finals. It's 3 apiece. The Bulldogs v the Sentinels. After this, we'll have our Season 2 champions.
The next 7 minutes is going to define the whole season for both the Bulldogs and the Sentinels. One of these teams will be walking away with the ultimate victory. One of them will be walking away with the greatest disappointment. And the Sentinels and the Bulldogs going head to head. Sentinels on the attacking side, the title defenders, the Season 1 champions, are looking to cause a bit of an upset. Let's be real, they're on the attack. It's going to be tough for them, but the Bulldogs feel like the underdogs. And Ben, you said when the underdogs play their best, it seems like that is what the Bulldogs can bring to bear in this game. So let's see what we can get. We've got an E5 for Joe Atora, an interesting choice. Super Conqueror out for Ravi, Batchat there for Madhouse, CS63 and an STB1 to close things out for Dark, and Soldat Udachi for the Sentinels. CCTP, Kranwagen, double Batchat, Rainbow and Cindy again, the dynamic duo, and Wymo in the STB1. The Sentinels spreading out, fanning out across the map, but so too are the Bulldogs.
Very different default hold that you normally expect on Sand River. Yes, we've seen Madhouse in this position a couple of times before. Dark makes a couple of blind shots, I think, trying to see if he's been spotted out. Madhouse has been lit up, though. He needs to be cautious over here, so he's going to drop off the cliff. Hasn't taken any damage, thank goodness.
Yeah, Wymo got himself into a good position here in mid as well. As of yet, unseen. Not a whole lot of information, actually, for the Bulldogs to work with, which means that, you know, for example, Dark in that CS63, very, very isolated out on an extremity. He does have Joe Atora in an E5 to potentially render some assistance, but it's going to be a long rotation for the Bulldogs on the defense if the Sentinels do end up making a push up towards the 2 flag.
Kranwagen can put a lot of pressure in actually into the Super Conk as well, which is going to be very dangerous for Ravi. He's going to have to push a little bit closer, and that's when the 60 TP is going to come into effect as well. You can't play close to the hill as a Super Conqueror if the 60 TP is just watching the crossfire. So this is where Rorendi's going to apply pressure, and Ravi probably needs to drop back a little bit more as a Super Conk. But Batchat's being very patient at the moment. Both teams just waiting for a mistake right now. I don't know what Sentinel's game plan is. It does look like they're setting up for a little bit of a 2-flag pressure eventually down the line.
That's a shot into Ravi's track. It doesn't do too much damage, but the first blood drawn by the Sentinels in the tiebreaker on Sand River. Ravi cops 1 shot worth of damage. It's definitely not the end of the world for the Bulldogs, but he's going to change up his position as a result, ensure that that is not going to be a possibility anymore for Rowendi. And Madhouse still sitting up on top of the mountain.
CS63 also rotating as well, so, I mean, this is a case of what are Bulldogs going to do as a counter response? Iron Guard has been spotted out at this point in time, has a shot to fire off maybe to the Super Conk. Batchat's going to be in support right now as well. Dark might be making a bit of a move by himself. I think the HE shell goes awry for now.
I'd say Ravi is actually feeling a little bit out of his depth at the moment. He's kind of taking a fight on 2 fronts, the Kranwagen and the 60 TP firing shots in his direction. CS63 of Dark has been spotted. You're seeing one of the Batchats of Sentinels up on the A line, the other coming in through mid. It's obviously going to be a 2-flag push here for the Sentinels. They've utilized a lot of time already, Kev. Only 3.5 minutes gone. And so we're halfway through the battle already.
Here's the problem with putting an E5 all the way down south. It's not going to rotate in time. That's the issue. And I mean, there's no way of spotting this rotation. This all comes down to Madhouse at the end of the day. If Madhouse can spot this push out, that's going to be the difference maker. If you can't spot this out, then it's going to be absolutely game over. I'd say Sentinels, they've got enough ability to take this. They know Dark's over to the north as well. 60 TP is going to be pushing up. That's going to be a huge alpha round into the CS63 if it lands. And out comes the push. This is it, Jordan.
Definitely tense times right now. Bulldogs don't have the tanks in the position. Sentinels do. Information is not there for the defenders just yet. But the E5, it's moving, but it's not moving fast enough. And the Sentinels, well, now they've been spotted. Cindy in that Batchat, Wymo in the STB1. The information is given. A good shot goes through. Wymo cops 1, but is it enough? At the moment, the answer is no. Bulldogs haven't forced that bleed. Now Iron Guard is leading the charge, taking a lot of damage. Hasn't really done enough just yet. Dark is fighting hard. Can he survive? That's the question. So much damage going through. Ravi is dead. Hear it all. Sentinels get 2 picks to start off the tiebreaker map, and they've lost barely any HP for doing so. It's the perfect start, Bulldogs. This is not where they want to be seeing their dreams get crushed, but we might yet see a back-to-back win from the Sentinels.
E5 is going to be so key right now. Can they get the Batchat out is the real question from Madhouse. There's no pressure coming forward, and the E5 doing some damage. Now the pressure is going to begin onto that 2 cap.
There is 2 minutes left on the clock, so time playing in the favor of the Bulldogs. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to find a way to clutch this one out, but if ever there was a time to pull out a bit of magic, a bit of underdog magic, it's now.
I mean, this is the perfect scenario for the Bulldogs. You're the underdog at the stage. They need to be the underdogs to create the upset. Sentinels going to be the 3-cap pressure coming out. This is all on Sold Out to get the reset, 20 seconds. Surely they're going to be covering this off. The E5's not going to be in position to get the reset in time. This is all down to Sold Out, and you can see exactly Sentinels covering off this threat right now. This could be it. This could be it for Sentinels.
Well, Sold Out Udachi, I'm sorry, but you can't press that S button. You just have to keep driving forward. You need to get that reset. No tracking shot coming through
There's
yet,
a
but
tracking
there
shot.
it is. Sold Out Udachi. He's not going to get there. Madhouse kills Wymo, but it doesn't matter. 2 seconds on the cap. The Sentinels have done it. They will be your ANZPL Season 2 champions. They go back to back, and they pull off the impossible once again.
What an absolutely amazing way to finish this one off in style that only the Sentinels can do. They had a great Season 1, a fantastic Season 2, come back from 0-3 down against the Scorpions to make their way into the grand final here at Fortress Melbourne, and then somehow pull out a crazy victory when they probably should have lost to Muravanka, and then again here on the not ideal side, less than ideal, the bad side, Kev would say, probably the attacking side of Sand River, and they get the cap. I love it. Well deserved.
Solid play, honestly, on the attack. I love how they control the map, right? You had the bat chat spotting out. And the downfall, once again, I look at how Bulldogs lost Prokhorovka. It's Joe out of position. Not his fault. I have to reiterate, it's not his fault. As a caller, you're placing these tanks, you're trying to set up for a scenario, but you always look at it and go, when your tanks are getting isolated, when they're getting picked off and you don't have tanks that can rotate in time, it becomes a scenario of, well, if you get the right timing push, if you're able to push off and get the information correctly, that's what happens. And Sentinels, like I said, it looks like a hopeless point because Bulldogs are favoured on Sand River. They're on the defense, but Sentinels just come out with the experience. Just come out with just nerves of steel, make the percentage plays, make the correct informational plays as well. And there it is, 4-3. What a finals.
Absolutely. The finals we deserved 100%. I think it's also fair to say that the Sentinels were the team deserving of victory here tonight. They've been consistent for the majority of the season and do manage to clutch it. Honestly, it looked like they were out on Muravanka. Like, surely you don't come back from this, but they do. That one game, when they managed to bring it back, puts them in this position. And then I feel like only the Sentinels, Jordan, can come out with that kind of play, get the cap on, they roll over the top of the hill. The Bulldogs too spread out. And there's just nothing the Bulldogs can do at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening while we were watching Dart get pushed here. I was just hearing shots. I was, where are these shots going into? Then you see Ravi on the kill feed going down in that Super Concrete. He got absolutely blasted straight off the bat. And in the end, Bulldogs lost 2 tanks for essentially nothing. They really didn't manage to trade enough damage back. You're exactly right, Kev. That E5 not in the position to do any damage. Sold Out Udachi was kind of there to help. Madhouse was kind of there to help, but there really just wasn't quite enough, unfortunately, for the Bulldogs. And in the end, I mean, you've got to give credit to Bulldogs. Great grand final played. I think they exceeded expectations. 100%. I didn't expect them to get all the way even to the tiebreaker, so I have to give them credit for that. But in the end, Sentinels just proving to be too strong, and, you know, it's very much the same storyline as last season. There is just something about the Sentinels. There's just this difference, this X factor that when push comes to shove, they are a little bit better. They make the right decisions. They make the right plays under pressure, and they get those victories.
I think there's something to be said as well for the difference between the regular season and a final scenario. You can kind of just drift through the regular season going 2-2, 2-2. The pressure isn't always there. You know, you're playing, you're winning the defensive side, you win a game, you make your way to finals, right? But this is an entirely different scenario. This is where the true pressure comes out, and the Sentinels certainly stepped up in the semis, and even more so tonight. If I'd guessed that we were going to go to a tiebreaker, I certainly wouldn't have guessed that the Sentinels weren't going to get their choice of side. And then, Jesus, the fact that they were able to come through and win that was an incredible result from them. And you do have to feel bad, I think, for the Bulldogs at times. But again, they did do well.
Yes, I think we iterated a lot about Sentinels doing really well. I mean, championship quality team, but I think a lot of those qualities you can also say for the Bulldogs as well. How many times are they down in a series? Maybe they made a mistake. The ability to come back on Moravanka when you have such a huge mistake on your attacking side, we're in a favourable scenario, to come back and still put on a huge performance. At the beginning of the season, week 4, we were counting them out. Right? For them to come into here, to be close to being to being the winner, to prove themselves to be a championship team, to kind of go, hey, we're not out of this just yet. If we play this series again and again and again, I don't know if it's the case that the Sentinels will always be the victor. And I think that's what's going to be really tantalizing right now.
It's been a pretty good season, Elfish Guy. Before we close this one out, I know that these ANZ PL players are ready to have to celebrate it up. Any final words from you on what was a pretty amazing season?
Well, congratulations, obviously, to the Sentinels for managing to go back-to-back. It's an incredible achievement being able to do so. Commiserations, obviously, to Bulldogs, and also Scorpions and Matildas, I think, are worth a shout because both of them played very good semi-finals, and I'm looking forward to next season, ANZ PL Season 3. Let's battle. Let's not 2-2. Let's make it bigger and better, and, cross our fingers for a much better season coming through after such a fantastic end to Season 2.
Kev, final thoughts from you, mate?
Thanks to the Tanks community. Thanks to the guys at Wargaming as well. I think we haven't even said this as well, but I mean, this is a brainchild of a lot of the Wargaming guys. So this wouldn't exist without them. So I reckon it should be us buying them drinks. I mean, JayRated, obviously, Vondle here, but a lot of the other guys, Maticus, Mateo, and of course, you guys as well. And the guys at the Fortress Production Room who've been here the entire season as well. So it's been fun.
Kev. Yeah? Don't get too far ahead of yourself. I think Ben actually is the one that owes us a drink at the moment.
True, so. You two owe us around.
I am one down, but I think if we go back anyway, we'll deal with that one later. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. That was the ANZPL Season 2 Grand Final. The North Sydney Sentinels taking down the Brisbane Bulldogs in the tiebreaker 4-3. Thanks to the team from Wargaming, to all of our competitors, all of the Tanks community who are here, and everyone at Fortress Melbourne. It's been an amazing season. We can't wait to see you next time. Have a great night.